A loud fan hummed inside a room. Tran Bin, dressed in a prison uniform, had his hands cuffed. 2 prison guards were escorting him. A man glanced over his file and let out a quiet sigh. "Do you still want revenge?" he asked. "I do," Tran Bin replied firmly. He was shoved into a dark room where the man sat waiting. Suddenly, the light was switched on, shining straight into his eyes. He instinctively raised his hand to shield them. "So," the man asked, "are you the action type? Or the idealist type?" "I'm the action type," Tran Bin responded. The prison officer calmly propped his foot up on the table. "Even though your sentence is complete, with your attitude, how can I let you out?" Tran Bin spoke up. 3 years ago, that man, his name is Tiu Loi, bullied my girlfriend. San. I defended her and hit him with a brick. But he used his influence to get me thrown in here. What I've learned in this place isn't some hypocritical morality. It's that a person must live with dignity. As long as I'm alive, I will take back what I've endured." He slammed his hand on the table in anger. "Not only take it back, I'll make them suffer 100-fold. The warden looked at him and said, "I have to admit, I respect that." He began unlocking the handcuffs. "But remember this, if you come back here again, you won't be getting out." Tran Bin walked out of prison. Standing in the rain, holding his belongings, he looked up as the water poured over him. Then he lowered his head and exhaled, gazing at the dragon-headed ring on his finger. There was no turning back anymore. In a bustling urban area, unlike the gloomy rain earlier, the sky now glowed with golden sunlight. But in a poor alley nearby, a frail woman stumbled step by step down a stairway, clutching a bundle in her arms. A group of thugs had already gathered, waiting. A bald-headed gang leader leaned back casually with an unfriendly expression. People watching from above saw what was happening and quickly shut their windows as if they had seen the devil. The struggling woman hurried forward with the bundle. "Where's the money?" the bald man demanded. She offered the bag with shaking hands. "It's all in here." One of the men opened it and checked. There was money inside, but before she could speak, he violently threw the bag at her. "This little bit? You call this money?" he spat. The cash scattered to the ground. Worried, she said, "It's exactly 10,000. If you don't believe me, you can count it." She bent down to pick up the money she had worked so hard to earn. But the bald thug didn't care for reason. He kicked her hard in the stomach, sending her crashing against a wall. She curled up in pain, clutching her abdomen. Even those watching from above couldn't bear the scene. One man turned away, wanting to go down and help her. "The Tiu family has gone too far," he muttered. But just as he turned to leave, his wife grabbed his arm. "Are you crazy? Get back here." Then she looked down and froze in shock. Tran Bin had returned home, only to witness the cruel abuse of his own mother. He shouted, "Mom!" Tran Bin shouted angrily, "What do you think you're doing?" The bald thug turned to look. Tran Bin rushed forward. The woman, his mother, was overwhelmed with joy, as if in a dream. "My son, is that really you?" They embraced tightly. Tears streamed down her face as she looked closely at his face. "I'm back, Mom," he said softly. The bald man glanced at his gang members, then sneered. "Oh, look who's back. Didn't die in prison, huh? And now you're out here acting tough?" Tran Bin ignored him and checked his mother's condition. She had taken a heavy kick to the abdomen, while her internal organs were unharmed. One of her ribs was fractured. Her thigh, knee, and ankle were bruised from the fall. He could clearly see the damage that bastard's kick had done. He placed his hand gently on his mother's shoulder. "Mom, just rest. I'm home now. No one in this world will dare bully you again." She looked at him with worry. "You just got out. Son, please, don't." He held her hand. "I know what I'm doing." He stood up and faced the group of thugs, pointing at them one by one. "1, 2, 3, 4, who should I deal with first?" The bald man rolled up his sleeves, snarling, "Count what, huh?" Tran Bin's aura only intensified. He pointed. "You, let's start with you." The bald thug lunged forward. But Tran Bin met him head-on. With a swift move, he swept the thug's leg, sending him crashing to the ground. The thug's eyes bulged, drool flying from his mouth. "1," Tran Bin said coldly, raising a hand. The other gang members weren't going to let that slide. They charged at him together. One threw a punch, but immediately recoiled in pain, his hand turning red. Another rushed in, only to get knocked flat with a single punch. Now only one thug remained. His face turned pale, and sweat poured down as he crawled backward, trying to escape. When he looked up, he saw a tall, shadowy figure looming over him. It was Tran Bin. "Boss, please, let me go. Please, I'm begging you, just let me live," he groveled. But Tran Bin didn't spare him. With one solid kick, he sent the man flying several meters. Then he stepped on the thug's chest. pinning him to the ground. In the blink of an eye, the thugs who dared to lay a hand on his mother were utterly defeated. Tran Bin's face darkened with fury. When I needed a way out, did your Tu family give me one? He pressed harder with his foot. The thug's eyes welled with tears. My parents just wanted a peaceful life. Did you give them that? His mother sat in the corner, tears streaming down her face. Heart aching, the bald thug staggered up, his voice now laced with mockery. Don't get cocky. Tran Bin, do you even know what day it is today? What day? Tran Bin asked. The thug pointed and laughed. It's the day our young master gets married. And guess what? The bride is your ex-girlfriend. Tran Bin froze in shock. Who? The thug laughed cruelly. Ha, surprised, aren't you? The woman you went to prison for, she's marrying young master to you today. Don't you want to go see for yourself? Anger surged through Tran Bin. A chilling aura emanated from his body. The bald thug continued provoking him. The wedding's at Regal Hotel. If you've got guts, show up. Then they ran off quickly. They had taunted him enough and feared what might happen if they pushed him further. But Tran Bin didn't move. He stood there, breathing deeply to calm himself. Then he walked over to his mother and gently helped her up. He took her home. Along the way, she looked at him with concern. My son, I know you've suffered, and I know you're strong, but please, let's not stir up more trouble. He held her hand. Don't worry, Mom, I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay by your side. Suddenly, the dragon head ring on his finger began to glow. Back in time, in the prison, inside a cell, 3 burly young inmates were bullying an elderly man. The old man lay curled on the ground, clutching his head in pain. Just then, Tran Bin walked by. He turned his head and immediately saw the unjust scene. One of the thugs grabbed the old man's shirt and shouted, "You crazy old man, you dare bite me?" But the old man only laughed, which enraged the thug even more. No laughing, he roared, throwing a punch at the elder's face. Tran Bin couldn't ignore it. He stepped forward tensely. A bunch of grown men ganging up on an old man, hoping to earn merit for your ancestors. Huh? One of the thugs growled. You brat, you're asking for it. They lunged at him. Tran Bin responded with a punch that knocked the first one flat on his back. But the numbers weren't on his side. 2 others quickly joined in and beat him down. In the end, he was the one who got beaten, just because he wanted to stand up for an old man. Back to the present. In a luxurious mansion, Tran Bin arrived, walking with purpose. He stopped at the entrance and asked, "Where's San San? Tell her to come out." A haughty middle-aged woman looked him up and down in disgust. Get lost, she snapped. Today is my daughter's wedding. You just got out of prison, such bad luck. Wedding, Tran Bin murmured. From the upper floor, San San peeked through the curtain. She frowned. That crazy guy. How dare he barge in here? Tran Bin called out. San San. She finally appeared. He had hoped that after prison, he could talk to her like before. But instead, she waved him away coldly. Tran Bin, leave, don't come looking for me again. I've already decided to marry Tu Loi. How ironic. He went to prison because of her. And now she was marrying the very man who sent him there. Is that really what you want? He asked. Yes, she replied. I want a rich life. You can't give me that. You've just come out of prison, you can't even take care of yourself. How would you take care of me? She pulled a few bills from her purse and handed them to him. For the sake of our past, take these few hundred yuan. Use it. Tran Bin slapped the money away. The notes fluttered in the air. You'll regret this, he said coldly. Just then, a car pulled up. Tu Loi stepped out, smirking. Well, if it isn't Tran Bin. He sneered. Oh right, today's the day you got out. What a coincidence. He laughed mockingly. Why don't you come to my wedding with San San? Or maybe, you're just out of cash. No worries, you don't need money. There'll be plenty of leftovers for you to enjoy. He smirked. After all, it's at Regal Plaza Hotel. If you don't come today, you might never get a chance to eat at a place like that in your life. Tran Bin laughed calmly. Tu Loi, I thought the first thing I'd do after getting out was settle the score with you. But now I realize, there's no need to rush. I'll take my time with you. With that, he turned and walked away, dignified. Unshaken. Tu Loi shouted arrogantly after him. You better watch yourself, Tran Bin. Let's see if you don't end up on your knees, begging me later. San San tugged at Tu Loi's arm. Forget it, we're out of time. Let's just leave that broke loser alone. Tran Bin turned back slightly and said, let's see who ends up begging who. Night falls, and the city glows under a sea of dazzling lights. The traffic light turns green. Someone, too impatient to wait, slams the gas. Just as the light flashes red again, Tran Bin steps into the street and gets hit by the car. His body is thrown into the air. spinning, before crashing hard onto the pavement. A young woman immediately rushes out of the car. She runs over and scolds him. Are you crazy? Walking like that? Are you tired of living? Tran Bin slowly opened his eyes and mumbled. You, the girl, now clearly nervous, looked him over. From inside the car, a man peeked out and calmly said, Vu Qi, stop fussing, check if that gentleman is okay. Vu Qi pulled out some money and offered it to him. I'm sorry, here's 10,000 yuan, just take it as compensation. To her shock, Tran Bin stood up without trouble. You're not hurt? She asked suspiciously. Are you pretending? She turned away quickly. We're in a hurry to get to the hospital. We don't have time to deal with you. But Tran Bin glanced at the car. The man inside was clutching his chest in pain. Seeing this, Vu Qi hurried back to the car. Dad, are you okay? But the man was more concerned about someone else. Vu Qi, that young man we hit, is he alright? Then Tran Bin suddenly said, You don't need to go to the hospital. It's too late. Vu Qi turned around angrily. What do you mean? Say it clearly. He replied. An old injury in his left lung has flared up. In 5 minutes, he'll experience shortness of breath and suffocate. Can you get to a hospital in 5 minutes? Vu Qi was stunned. He was talking about her father's life being in danger. She shouted, You're talking nonsense. My dad just has a cold. But the man in the car calmly asked, Young man, how did you know my left lung was injured before? Tran Bin shrugged. I don't have time to explain. I have urgent matters. The man, composed and dignified, said, If you really have a way to help me, I, Tavantong, will never forget your kindness. Tran Bin muttered under his breath. Tavantong, it was a name he recognized. Vu Qi confirmed it. Yes, that's my father, Tavantong. Tran Bin walked up and opened the car door. Vu Qi panicked. Hey, what are you doing? Tran Bin closed his eyes and focused. He brought his 2 fingers together, forming a seal in front of his forehead. When he lowered his hand, he pressed 3 acupoints on Tavantong's chest. The older man immediately felt a tremor through his body. Vu Qi rushed over. Dad. Tavantong held his chest. Taking a deep breath. Thank you, I can breathe much better now. Tran Bin explained. This illness is hard to treat. I've only temporarily suppressed the injury so you'll have enough time for proper treatment. Tavantong looked grateful. Young man, just say the word, whatever you want, I'll do my best to help you. But Tran Bin shook his head. I helped you because I know you've done good deeds. Morally and logically, I should lend a hand. After all, good people deserve long lives. The older man replied humbly. You flatter me, I feel ashamed. He looked at the sky. It's getting late, let me treat you to a meal. Tran Bin replied, eyes closed. No need. Instead, I'll help you continue treatment. Vu Qi smiled. She seemed to have developed a bit of admiration. This guy, he's kind of blunt, but strangely honest. Tavantong beamed. Excellent, let's head to my hotel and discuss the next step. Tran Bin looked surprised. Hotel? Vu Qi responded. Yes, the Regal Hotel. He raised an eyebrow. Isn't that where my ex, San, and Tiu Loi are holding their wedding? He smirked. Well, interesting. Seeing that smirk, Vu Qi couldn't help but wonder. Why does this guy not look like a good person at all? Tran Bin got into the car, riding with the father and daughter duo toward Regal Hotel. Flashback, inside the prison. Tran Bin lay quietly on his bunk. Suddenly, someone poured a strange liquid into his mouth. He coughed violently. Who? He rasped. Sitting up, the liquid left a burning taste in his mouth. It was alcohol. My clothes, they reek of booze. But why does it taste so weird? The old man nearby chuckled. Well, not bad, right? You just got lucky. Kid, this wine, I've been saving it for years. I couldn't bear to drink it myself. Tran Bin froze. Alcohol was strictly forbidden in prison. The only safe place to hide it was the toilet tank. Suddenly, he felt sick. The old man placed a hand on his shoulder. No resolve at all. Huh? Without me, you would have been beaten to death yesterday. Tran Bin was stunned. All his wounds were healed. The old man pointed a finger at Tran Bin's forehead. Humans are full of mysteries. If activated properly, we can unlock incredible miracles. All I did was activate the inner energy in your body to speed up your healing. It's not enough to raise the dead or regrow limbs. But for the living, it's close to magic. Tran Bin suspiciously touched the old man's forehead. No fever, but you're really talking nonsense now. The old man flicked his hand. It was a light tap, yet it made Tran Bin's arm ache. You brat, the old man said. Medicine and healing are just one of my little tricks. Since we're fated to meet, I'll teach you. I never said I wanted to learn. Tran Bin protested. The old man raised his gourd-shaped bottle. Whether you want to or not, isn't your decision. Still feeling nauseous, Tran Bin gagged. What the hell did you make me drink? Back to the present. The memory stunned Tran Bin for a moment. Van Tong called to him. Young man, are you alright? I'm fine, Tran Bin replied. Let me check your pulse first. Mr. Tu. Van Tong extended his arm. Cooperative. Please, go ahead. As Tran Bin pressed his fingers to the wrist, he noticed a darkened patch across the man's chest, a clear sign of internal danger. Seeing Tran Bin's serious expression, Van Tong grew worried. My injuries, how bad are they? Suddenly, he coughed, then vomited a mouthful of blood. Just then, Vu Qi returned with a doctor, only to witness the scene. Panicking, she rushed forward. What did you do to my father? She shoved Tran Bin aside and cried out. Doctor, please help my dad. The doctor quickly gave Van Tong a pill. I've administered Sandan to protect his heart temporarily. He'll be stable for now. Please, Dr. Tun, Vu Qi pleaded. You're the best doctor in Hong Tan. You have to save him. I can't say anything until I finish reading his pulse, he replied. Dr. Tun placed his fingers on the pulse. Then, he frowned. It appears someone stimulated his immune system earlier. While it helped at first, it aggravated the underlying damage. Upon hearing that, Vu Qi turned and snapped at Tran Bin. You liar, if anything happens to my father, I'll never forgive you. Tran Bin grabbed her arm. Fool, if I hadn't intervened earlier, your father wouldn't even be alive right now. She pulled away from him and turned to the doctor. Dr. Tun, no matter the cost, you must save my father. Dr. Tun nodded. In that case, I'll use my secret acupuncture technique. He took out his needles and began. Carefully, he inserted them into various points onto Van Tong's face, then moved toward the forehead. Tran Bin warned, if you keep doing that, you'll kill him. But Vu Qi didn't listen. Get out, we don't need you here. Tran Bin calmly said, I'll be waiting outside. In 5 minutes, you'll know who can really save your father. Then, he stepped out of the room. Inside, Vu Qi turned back. Dr. Tun, please, continue? The doctor held 2 more needles and inserted them into the center of Van Tong's forehead. Vu Qi's heart pounded with worry. Suddenly, Van Tong opened his eyes. He raised a hand and gently stroked her head. Dad, she cried, you're awake. But then, something went wrong. His expression twisted. Vu Qi looked at the doctor. What's happening? I don't know. Dr. Tun stammered, his face pale. He was fine a moment ago, maybe we should rush him to the hospital. You're the best doctor in the city, she cried. And now you're telling me to go to the hospital? Dr. Tun trembled. Those techniques earlier, they must have made his injuries worse. Vu Qi's mind raced. She suddenly remembered what Tran Bin said, 5 minutes. He must have foreseen this outcome. She dashed out the door just as Tran Bin was about to leave. She shouted, wait, unlike earlier, when she distrusted and drove him away. Vu Qi now clung to Tran Bin with teary eyes, pleading, please save my father. Tran Bin slightly turned back, his voice calm but firm. So now you believe I'm not a fraud? That I might actually be able to save him? He sighed. Forget it, let me check his condition first. Inside, Van Tong still lay uneasy, his face covered with acupuncture needles. Tran Bin assessed the situation quickly. It seems I'll have to risk everything this time. He muttered, do you have any silver needles? Dr. Tun brought some out. Here, over 30 needles. Isn't that enough? Tran Bin replied. Not even close. His condition is too severe to trigger his life force now. I'll need many more. How many? The doctor asked. 9.981 needles. Dr. Tun gasped. In my medicine box, I might have enough. Let me go get them. Tran Bin closed his eyes and focused. He activated his internal power. The silver needles began to float on their own, flying one by one into the precise pressure points across Van Tong's body. Suddenly, his breathing stabilized. He's going to be fine, Tran Bin said. The doctor's eyes widened in shock. Amazing, unbelievable? He dropped to his knees, grabbing Tran Bin's hands. Please, Master Healer, let me be your disciple. Vu Qi protested. Dr. Tun, what are you doing? My father hasn't even woken up yet. The doctor replied seriously. Miss Tu, this man just used the 9-turn soul returning acupuncture, a lost art believed to bring even the dead back to life. Tran Bin looked at him. You recognize that technique? Please, take me in. He bowed and introduced himself. I am Tun Tung, Vice President of the Traditional Medicine Association in Hong Tan. Please, accept me. Tran Bin waved him off. Later, I'm not finished yet. He held out his hand, and a soft energy swirled in his palm. The silver needles flew back into his hand, neatly withdrawn. The next second, Van Tong opened his eyes. What a calamity that was. Dad, Vu Qi ran over. How do you feel? I'm okay now. Just weak. He turned to Tran Bin. You saved me, again. Didn't you? Tran Bin nodded while checking his pulse. A dark patch still lingered across his chest. I may have saved your life today. But your illness isn't cured completely. At best, you have 3 months. That news shook Van Tong deeply. Who wants to die early? He muttered. Sir, you're from the inner circle, surely there's still a way? I'll give you my entire fortune if I must. No need, Tran Bin said. My name is Tran Bin. You can just call me that. He handed the older man a folded paper. This isn't just your prescription. Some of the ingredients are for treating my mother's eyes. Van Tong nodded with conviction. Don't worry, I'll make sure every one of these herbs is found. Vu Qi glanced at the paper. Tran Tien Sen, this list includes a brush and cinnabar, are those also medicine? They aren't ordinary items, Tran Bin replied. What I need are spiritual artifacts, items that carry life essence. He held up a wooden token, the dragon head ring still gleaming on his finger. He handed the token to Vu Qi. Everything in this world has a spirit, but to become a spiritual artifact, a thing must endure rare opportunities and harsh conditions. She asked curiously, you mean, like in those TV dramas? Sacred trees are objects in immortal caves that gain consciousness over time. Some even take human form? That's a fitting comparison, Tran Bin said with a smile. It's not entirely accurate, but not wrong either. Van Tong warned sternly. Vu Qi, mind your manners before Master Tran. Tran Bin laughed gently. It's fine, that honesty of hers is quite charming. Vu Qi smiled, finally letting go of her doubts. Then Tran Bin turned serious. But, to Tong, your wound doesn't seem like it was caused by an ordinary person. The old man grew somber. It was over 10 years ago. When I was still young and ambitious. I had a rival in business who struck me once with his palm. I didn't think much of it at the time. Vu Qi looked at Tran Bin. Anxious. What exactly is my father's condition? But Tran Bin didn't respond. Instead, he whispered, 3, 2, 1. Then he raised his hand, aiming at a nearby teapot. Suddenly, a surge of violet energy burst from the pot. The father and daughter gasped in shock. Tran Bin said calmly, the one who injured your father must be a master of inner energy. He planted power inside his organs, creating illnesses that only appeared much later. He opened his palm, his expression grave. Tran Bin's expression grew solemn. He recalled a moment from prison, panicked. He had once shouted, old man, what the hell did you do to me? But the old man calmly flicked a finger on Tran Bin's forehead. Brat, show some respect and call me master. Tran Bin, clearly not amused, lunged at him, but the old man lightly tapped the back of his neck. Looks like I went too easy on you. You still have strength to fight back. Tran Bin's eyes rolled back. He collapsed to the ground, completely unconscious. The old man knelt down, placed a hand on the back of Tran Bin's neck, and muttered, I've infused dark energy into your body. The only way to neutralize it is by mastering the Nung Tam Kui technique I'll teach you. Otherwise, it'll rip through your meridians and torment you endlessly. Time passed. Despite his training, Tran Bin felt nothing unusual. I've tried, but I don't feel a damn thing. The old man scoffed. Nung Tam Kui is a form of cultivation. If it were easy, wouldn't the world be full of immortals? He added coldly, only when you're pushed to the edge will you succeed. Tran Bin paled. And what if I fail? You'll be crippled, the old man said flatly. Destroyed from the inside out. That's the price. This world is one where the big fish eats the small. If you want dignity, you must master your own strength. So Tran Bin trained with determination. Those who follow the flow are mortals. Those who go against it, immortals. The energy in his body began to move, pooling in his chest. Just when he thought he had succeeded, he coughed up blood and collapsed. The old man sensed what had happened. In just 3 days, he's broken through. Taking this disciple won't be a loss after all. Back to the present, inside the Regal Hotel. Dr. Tun was still kneeling, clinging to Tran Bin's leg. Please, Master Tran, take me as your disciple. An old man kneeling before a young man. It was a pitiful sight. But Tran Bin spoke bluntly. Get up, I won't take you as a disciple. But if you ever need medical guidance, I can help. Dr. Tun, overjoyed, bowed deeply. Thank you, Master Tran. Tran Bin turned to Van Tong. I still have things to handle at home. Once the herbs are ready, call me. Van Tong quickly asked. Master Tran, where are you staying now? I'm at the Happiness Residence Complex. Why? Grateful for having his life saved. Van Tong pulled out a card. There's 10 million yuan in this account. Also, I own a vacant home in Vin Long Loan. It's yours if you'll accept it. Tran Bin recognized the name immediately. Vin Long Loan? That's where the richest of the rich live. Compared to that, Happiness Residence, where he lived with his mother, was the slums. This gift, it's too generous. To Van Tong smiled. Master Tran, are you saying my life isn't worth it? Tran Bin hesitated, but if he didn't accept, the man wouldn't be at ease. Alright, I'll accept, thank you. To Tong. Suddenly, loud commotion came from outside the room. To Van Tong turned to his daughter. Vu Qi, go check what's going on. A hotel staffer quickly explained. To Tong, the heir of the Tiu family is having his wedding today. It's being held on the second floor. Tiu Loi and San San. To Van Tong smiled politely. Sorry for the noise, Master Tran, hope it doesn't bother you. Tran Bin calmly clasped his hands. It's natural, this is a hotel. Guests from all over come and go. I won't keep you longer. Just as he was about to leave, the newlyweds Tiu Loi and San San entered. Hand in hand, they saw Tran Bin. Well, Tiu Loi said first, smirking. Didn't think you'd really show up. Tran Bin held back his anger. Tiu Loi snickered. Here to grab some free food and drinks? Or just to make a scene? San San clung to his arm. Loi, stop wasting time, let's not bother with that loser. Her mother chimed in harshly from behind. You two go inside, I'll deal with this toad. Honestly, the worst mistake my daughter ever made was getting involved with trash like you. She strode up, sneering. You worthless bum. What are you even doing here? If you don't leave now, I'll have security throw you out. Guests nearby began whispering. Seriously? A toad trying to eat swan meat? Tran Bin clenched his fists, but said nothing. He turned to leave, but Tiu Loi wasn't done. Stop him, he barked to his bodyguards. Today, he's not going anywhere. I want him to watch as I marry his woman. 2 guards blocked Tran Bin's path. Tran Bin stared at Tiu Loi. Are you sure you want me at your wedding? Of course. Tiu Loi laughed. I want you to see what happens to anyone who goes up against me. Pity. Tran Bin said softly. Your wedding's not going to go the way you think. Tiu Loi roared with laughter. Oh yeah? What are you going to do? Huh? Ruin my wedding? He turned to his men. Watch him. If he moves an inch, you know what to do. Yes, young master. The guards nodded. Tran Bin pushed the door open. All the guests inside turned in shock. A woman spoke up. Isn't that Tran Bin? When did he get out of prison? All eyes turned to him with contempt. Tran Bin remained silent and walked calmly to a seat. Unexpectedly, the same woman sat down beside him. Oh, seeing an old friend and not even saying hi? Don't tell me prison made you mute? Fu Vi also sat down, chiming in with the woman. Back in school, this guy was student council president, smart, upright. Everyone admired him. Such a shame that right after graduation, he became a criminal. He threw an arm around Tran Bin. We were roommates, remember? You just got out, probably jobless. Right? I know someone in public sanitation. The park nearby needs someone to manage the public toilets. Interested? It sounded like a job offer but was clearly an insult. The woman added mockingly. Don't be silly. He was the student council president. Cleaning toilets? Nah, sweeping streets might suit him better. She laughed coldly. Whispers started among the crowd. That's her ex-boyfriend, right? Just got out of prison. I heard. Crossed a young master from the Tiu family, serves him right. Enough. Tran Bin had had enough. His gaze hardened. If you people don't want to be carried out of here today, you'd better shut up right now. Fu Vi didn't back down. Your girlfriend's marrying someone else, and you're still acting like you're hot shit? Who do you think you are? Smack. Tran Bin slapped him across the face. Tiu Loi stormed over, furious. Tran Bin, one of the Tiu family's bald-headed bodyguards, charged forward. You got a death wish. Huh? Causing a scene at the Tiu family's wedding. A gang of bodyguards armed with batons rushed at him. But Tran Bin was calm. He stomped once. A shockwave burst out. All the guards were thrown back violently. Useless. Tiu Loi shouted. Get out of my way. A more composed man stepped forward. He's trained in martial arts. Don't be reckless. At that moment, hotel security burst in from outside. Who's causing trouble in our hotel? Upstairs, the tremor caused by Tran Bin's stomp could be felt. Even the upper floors shook. To Van Tong furrowed his brows. Isn't the Tiu family holding a wedding today? Why does it sound like someone's tearing down my hotel? A man replied. To Tong, word is someone's causing a scene at the Tiu family wedding. Apparently, someone's been injured. To Van Tong, already tense, stood up. What are those useless people doing? Someone's making trouble in my hotel and they just let it happen? Go deal with it. Vuki stepped in quickly. Father, your condition hasn't fully recovered. Don't get upset. Let me go and speak with the Tiu family. Another man reassured. With Mist speaking on behalf of our side, the Tiu family will surely give respect. Van Tong nodded. Alright, go handle it. Vuki left swiftly. Back downstairs, chaos continued. Hotel security surrounded Tran Bin. Everyone, restrain this troublemaker and get him out of here. But just then, Tiu Lao Jia appeared. This is the Tiu family's matter. We'll handle it ourselves. He placed a hand on the shoulder of the hotel guard. You all, leave. They obeyed silently and left. Now, face to face with Tran Bin, Tiu Loi stepped up angrily. I don't just want him to apologize. Father, I want his life. Tran Bin calmly replied. I told you, if I came to this wedding, it wouldn't end peacefully. Now do you believe me? Shut up, loser. Tiu Loi screamed, throwing a punch, but Tran Bin casually flicked the punch aside. Snap. Tiu Loi staggered back, screaming in pain. His wrist had snapped from the impact. He collapsed, wailing. Tiu Lao Jia rushed to his side. My son. He trembled with rage. You brat, you brought this on yourself. Tiu Loi screamed. Dad, I want him dead. The old man seethed. Don't worry, that bastard won't make it out of here alive. Just then, Vuki arrived with her people. Uncle Tiu, what happened here? Seeing Vuki arrive, old man Tiu pointed accusingly. This man not only ruined the wedding but also injured Loi Nhi. Even if I respect the De family, his life today, the Niem family must take it. Vuki spotted Tran Bin and asked in shock. Tran Tien Sin, it's you? He replied calmly. Miss Tu, surprised to see me here? Old Tiu's face darkened, voice trembling. You know this arrogant brat? Vuki walked to Tran Bin's side. Uncle Niem, this must be some misunderstanding. Tran Tien Sin was invited by my father to treat his illness. San San immediately chimed in. Liar, that man just got out of prison. He never studied medicine. How could he suddenly know how to heal? Vuki retorted. You don't have the right to judge whether Tran Tien Sin knows medicine or not. San San snapped back. No right? We dated for years in university. Every time I got sick, he just took me to the hospital. If he really had medical skills, how could I not know? Old man Tiu tried to shut it down. Niece, if your father's sick, I can bring in foreign specialists. This is best left alone. He waved, and the bodyguards with weapons stepped forward. The door was closed. Vuki stood in front of Tran Bin. Arms spread. You are not allowed to lay a hand on Tran Tien Sin. Old Tiu had had enough. Teeth clenched. He roared. Girl, if not for Van Tong, you and this brat would be seeing the king of hell already. He raised his hand, preparing an internal energy strike. I'll give you one more chance. Move. But Vuki refused. Old man Tiu surged forward, his palm just inches from her face. When Tran Bin caught it between two fingers. Hitting women isn't a very admirable habit. Old Tiu recoiled in pain. He barked. Whoever takes his head gets a 1 million reward. Kill him. The bodyguards charged, some with knives, others with hammers. Tran Bin stood protectively in front of Vuki. Calm, unshaken. Suddenly, a tap echoed from a cane on the floor. Van Tong had arrived. He boomed, let me see who dares lift a finger. Everything stopped. All eyes turned. All weapons froze. Old man Tiu quickly shouted. Ah, perfect timing. Lao, take your daughter away. Today, no one can save this brat. But Van Tong ignored him. He turned to Tran Bin. Tran Tien Sin, forgive me for alarming you. Tran Bin replied casually. No need to apologize. To Tong, it's just the Tiu family, they don't scare me. Their words and calm demeanor infuriated old Tiu. He knocked over a table in rage. You bastard too. So today, you've chosen to stand against me? Van Tong's voice was steady. I am protecting Tran Tien Sin. Let's see who dares touch him. Old Tiu sneered. Then don't blame me. You'll regret this. Van Tong, he added coldly. Have you forgotten the Tiger clan from the Tu Nia Hall? They owe the Niem family a favor. The name Tu Nia Hall made even Van Tong's face tighten. People whispered. Isn't that the strongest underground faction in Hongtan? No one who's crossed them lived to tell the tale. Van Tong's expression darkened. Old Tiu grinned wickedly, pulling out his phone. Van Tong, you can still walk out of here. Take your people and go. I'll forget this ever happened. If not, Tran Bin stepped forward. To Tong, let me handle this. You and Mr. should leave. But Van Tong shook his head. He whispered to his daughter. When chaos breaks out, sneak Tran Tien Sin out. Understood? Old Tu sneered. Well, have you decided? Van Tong stood tall. There's no need to test me. I will protect Tran Tien Sin. Let's see what you can do. Old Tu growled. Very well. Don't blame me for what happens next. He pressed the call button. Calling. Lam Thien Ho. Tran Bin calmly affirmed. Don't worry, no matter who shows up today, none of them will lay a finger on any of you. Seeing Tran Bin's resolve, Vu Qi added. Tran Tien Sin, you don't understand just how powerful Tu Nia Duong is in Hong Tan. If a fight breaks out, stay close to me, don't get separated, no matter what. Old man Tu stepped forward, brimming with confidence. Ho Jia is already on his way. To Van Tong, I'd start preparing if I were you. To Van Tong's eyes darkened. Just then, a man with tiger-like sideburns kicked the door open. The room instantly fell silent. All of Tu family's bodyguards bowed their heads. Welcome, Ho Jia. The man walked in. Old Tu bowed deeply. Ho Jia. The man asked coldly. No need for pleasantries. Point to the one you want me to deal with. Old Tu quickly pointed at Tran Bin. That punk over there. Ho Jia. To Van Tong tried to step forward. But Ho Jia snapped. Step aside. I won't say it twice. To Van Tong hesitated. Tran Bin gently pulled him back. To Tong, Miss Tu. This is my problem, let me handle it. Ho Jia narrowed his eyes at Tran Bin. From behind, Tiu Loi added mockingly. Ho Jia, don't let him die too easily. Ho Jia turned, face cold. You think I need your instructions? He then stormed over and slapped Tiu Loi hard across the face. You brat, who gave you permission to talk to Ho Jia like that? Old Tiu immediately followed suit, smacking his son again while apologizing. Sorry, Ho Jia, he doesn't know any better. Ho Jia clarified. I owe the Tu family a favor. That doesn't make me your servant. It was clear to everyone. Ho Jia truly held weight, and even old Tu had to grovel. Turning to Van Tong, Ho Jia asked, what's the story? Van Tong respectfully replied. The bride today used to be Tran Tien Sin's girlfriend. There were some past entanglements. Please show mercy. Ho Jia burst out laughing. That's it? You people made such a ruckus over something like that? He continued. But still, this kid did offend the Tu family. Let him take responsibility, and we'll call it even. Van Tong opened his mouth but said nothing, sensing Ho Jia's tense aura. But Tran Bin stepped forward. The Tu family doesn't even deserve an apology from me. Vu Qi whispered. Tran Tien Sin, please, just apologize to Ho Jia. One of Tu's men rushed forward. You dare talk back to Ho Jia? Die. But Tran Bin calmly stepped aside, blocked the attack with one hand. At that moment, the light reflected off the ring on Tran Bin's finger, catching Ho Jia's eye. His expression changed instantly. He kicked the underling away. Who told you to attack? Stand down, now. A complete reversal. Ho Jia slightly bowed, his tone cautious. Tran Tien Sin, my subordinate acted rashly. Please forgive us. Tran Bin asked flatly. So, you're not demanding an apology anymore? Ho Jia replied quickly. Of course not. I wouldn't dare. If Tran Tien Sin has any orders, I will follow them without question. Tran Bin calmly declared. I already said before, once I arrived, this wedding would never happen. Ho Jia raised his voice. Cancel the wedding, now. San San and Tu Loi were stunned, like lightning splitting the sky. Old Tu rushed forward, panicked. Wait, Ho Jia, surely this is a mistake? But Ho Jia barked. Clean this place up. As San San was dragged away, she still deluded herself. Tran Bin, you think you've won? I'll never end up with someone like you. Her mother chimed in bitterly. San San, don't worry about that ex-con. A filthy toad like him deserves to die alone. Vu Qi turned red but looked at Tran Bin seriously. Tran Tien Sin, if you don't mind, would you consider me your girlfriend? Tran Bin replied honestly. Thanks, but that won't be necessary. Vu Qi gently placed her hand over his mouth, smiling. I understand, but I'll try my best. Vu Qi looked toward the mother and daughter pair being escorted out and said softly. I'll do my best to make you accept me. San San and her mother gritted their teeth in shame and fury, now humiliated beyond words. Eventually, both of them were dragged away. Ho Jia turned to face Tran Bin. Sensing tension, Tran Bin asked, if you've got something to say, just say it. But instead, Ho Jia suddenly bowed deeply. Your subordinate, Lam Thien Ho, head of Tu Nia Duong, greets the lord of Thien Long Palace. Immediately, all his men followed suit, dropping to their knees, respectfully greeting the palace lord. Tran Bin was completely taken aback. Wait, you've got the wrong guy. I'm not anyone's lord of anything. Ho Jia replied with absolute certainty. The one who wears the Thien Long ring is the rightful lord of Thien Long. I cannot be mistaken. Looking down at the ring on his finger, Tran Bin muttered, that crazy old man really gave me one hell of a gift. He remembered, back when he was still in prison, training day after day, the old man beside him had been lazing about, drinking wine. Old man, Tran Bin asked, I'm about to get out soon. Don't you have anything to say to me? The old man casually tossed him a gourd flask. This wine isn't gonna get me drunk. You know, Tran Bin said, raising it and chugging it all in one go. He had changed so much since his first day in prison. The old man smiled lightly, then walked over and felt Tran Bin's pulse. Your cultivation of Nung Tam Kuei isn't bad. All that's left is diligent training. He then pulled out a dragon-headed ring and handed it to Tran Bin. I don't have much to give you. So take this ring. Tran Bin looked stunned. Didn't you say this ring was incredibly important to you? I can't accept this. But the old man grabbed his wrist and forcefully slipped the ring on him. No more talk. You're the lord of Thien Long Palace now. You still think you can beat me? You're 100 years too early. As soon as the ring slid onto Tran Bin's finger, it reacted violently. A surge of energy made him tremble. My hand, it's gonna break. The old man grinned. I've taught you everything I can. Now I give you one final great destiny. Great destiny? Tran Bin scratched his head. The old man placed a hand on his shoulder and said seriously. On the 15th of July, go to the nameless island in the South China Sea. Once the ring lights up, someone will appear to deliver your fate. I got it. Tran Bin nodded. But before I leave, I want to ask one thing. The old man sat down, picking up the wine again. Ask. Might not be another chance. Tran Bin's voice was heavy. Why are you so good to me? The old man took a sip and laughed. You want to know? Then go find the answer yourself. On the island, July 15th, back in the present, seeing everyone still kneeling, Tran Bin rubbed his head awkwardly. You guys really have the wrong guy. That ring was just a gift from some old lunatic. Ho Jia respectfully replied. If the Thien Long ring is in your possession, then you are our lord. There's no other way to see it. Tran Bin asked. So, Tu Nia Duong is under Thien Long Palace? Ho Jia nodded. Yes. The Thien Long Palace has 13 branches across the globe, each acting as an autonomous stronghold. Because of the strict secrecy and decentralization, very few people even know Thien Long Palace exists. Tran Bin said firmly. I don't want anyone else knowing about this. Anything involving Thien Long Palace must remain in the shadows. Ho Jia bowed again. Rest assured, Palace Lord. I'll see to it that everything is handled discreetly. Vu Qi was gently massaging her father's shoulders. She asked softly, Dad, do you feel any better? Van Tong let out a weary breath. It's just the old illness acting up again. But Vu Qi, about what you said to Tran Tien Sin earlier, were you being serious? He was referring to her confession. Vu Qi's cheeks flushed a faint red. She feigned ignorance. What are you talking about, Dad? Van Tong teased her on purpose. You've never been able to hide your thoughts since you were a child. You really think I can't see through you? She denied it quickly. Dad, Tran Tien Sin and I only just met today. How could there be anything like that between us? Don't overthink it. Just then, someone entered and reported. Lam Thien Ho has taken his people and left. Tran Tien Sin has also gone. Van Tong waved his hand, signaling the person to leave. Then he turned to his daughter seriously. Vu Qi, quickly gather all the required medicinal ingredients, and secretly send someone to protect Tran Tien Sin. I'm worried the Tiu family won't let this go easily. Suddenly, Vu Qi's expression changed. Oh no, I forgot to notify the Ban Long Bay estate about Tran Tien Sin and the villa. She rushed off. Dad, I'll go there myself. A car pulled up in front of a grand villa. Tran Bin brought his parents to the villa Van Tong had mentioned earlier. His mother asked in disbelief. Son, is this really the place your friend is lending you? His father looked skeptical. This friend of yours? What kind of person owns a house in Ban Long Bay and is willing to lend it out? Tran Bin reassured them. Don't worry, everything's been arranged. Just come inside. But at that moment, the security guard blocked their car. Hold on, what's going on here? The window rolled down. Tran Bin calmly said, I'm the owner of this villa. The guard looked doubtful. This is Ban Long Bay. Are you sure you're not lost? Tran Bin pulled out the house access card, clearly marked with Ban Long Bay's logo. The guard was stunned. This is the key to the mountaintop villa. That's the one president who just purchased. How could this kid have the key? Suddenly, the classmate who mocked him yesterday appeared again. Oh wow, if it isn't Tran Bin. What is this? Your family on the run? San also stepped forward. What's going on here? The guard responded. This person says he owns the villa, but we suspect the key might have been stolen. It's still under verification. The classmate mocked him with a cold smile. Tran Ben, you really are something else. What a bold lie. Do you even know how expensive villas here are? Fu V arrived too. You people, kick them out already. He's fresh out of prison. Letting him in will damage the image of this entire community. Tran Ben remained silent. Fu V grinned. Come on, Tran Ben, take your blind mother and your street sweeper father and get out of here. Tran's father, humiliated and furious, shouted, let's go, this is disgraceful. His mother gently urged him from behind. Let's leave, son. San added with disdain. Enough already, let's go. Talking to this kind of person only lowers our status. Their car passed through the gate while Tran's family was still standing there. Tran's father finally gave in. Driver, please take us back. But Tran Ben pleaded. Please, just wait a little longer. This villa really was lent to me by a friend. His father, not believing a word, grew even angrier. What, are we waiting to be chased off again? Isn't this embarrassing enough already? Just then, Tavu Ki finally arrived. The guards grew nervous. Miss Tu, why are you here? She walked over quickly. Tran Tien Sen, I'm sorry. I forgot to notify the estate manager in advance and caused you unnecessary trouble. Tran Bin replied. To Tiu too, there was no need for you to come in person. His mother looked at the elegant young woman and asked, Son, who's this? He replied, Mom, Dad, this is the friend I told you about who lent us the house. Her name is Tavu Ki. Hearing this, Vu Ki realized, these are my future in-laws. She bowed politely. Auntie, uncle, I'm sorry I came on such short notice and didn't bring a proper gift. Mother Tran gently held her hand. No, Miss Tu, you're far too kind. We're the ones who should thank you for letting Tran Bin use such a wonderful house. Vu Ki smiled. It's not good for you all to be standing here like this. Let's go inside, we can talk more comfortably. Everyone smiled. Mother Tran agreed. Yes, let's go inside. As their car passed by, San stood there stunned. Her friend behind her muttered. Did I see that right? Tran Bin actually went in? San's eyes burned with jealousy. That villa on the mountaintop belongs to the De family. They must have lent it to him. Fu V clenched his fists. Why is that guy always so damn lucky? San turned to him. How's the guy the first told you to find doing? Fu V's eyes narrowed dangerously. I found a group of professional thugs. They're just waiting for the right moment to teach him a lesson he won't forget. Everyone went inside to talk. Mother Tran, ever tactful, turned to her husband. Old man, why don't you go brew some tea for Miss Tu? He replied cheerfully. Oh yes, right away. But Vu Ki quickly stepped in. No need, uncle, let me do it. You all just arrived. How could I trouble you? She personally poured the tea and explained. Auntie, uncle, this is red day tea. It helps lower blood fat and blood pressure, perfect for older folks. Mother Tran smiled warmly. Even though my eyesight's not great, I can tell just by your voice. You must be a beautiful and kind girl. Vu Ki blushed slightly and waved her hand shyly. Oh auntie, I'm really not as good as you think. Tran Bin even scolded me once for it. Her words sounded like a subtle complaint. Mother Tran turned and playfully pulled her son's ear. This rascal's temper is just like his father's. Miss Tu, if he dares get angry at you again, tell me, I'll deal with him. Tran Bin rubbed his ear. Embarrassed. Mom, why are you airing out all my secrets in front of everyone? Seemingly realizing something, Mother Tran nudged her husband. Well then, you kids chat. Your father and I will go for a walk to get familiar with the area. Tran Bin scratched his head awkwardly. Miss Tu. But Vu Ki cut him off. Face slightly flushed. Don't call me Miss Tu anymore. Just call me Vu Ki. Tran Bin's face turned a bit red as well. She leaned in and whispered. Tell me, did it feel like I just met the parents? Then she pulled back and laughed. Alright, I won't tease you anymore. Look at you, so nervous. She waved her hand. I'll get going now. If you need anything, don't hesitate to contact me. Tran Bin resumed cultivating. It seemed the spiritual energy at Ban Long Bay was denser than usual. All the ambient energy flowed into him. An ideal place for training. This time, he truly owed the De family a great favor. A stream of energy gathered in his palms. He opened his eyes. It was morning. Time to go in search of the spirit brush and cinnabar. He looked at his map, circled the locations, and marked his route. In a district with a classic old town vibe, Tran Bin appeared, walking among the antique stalls. He approached a stall vendor. who greeted him eagerly. "Brother, what are you looking for? I've got everything you need, guaranteed authentic." Tran Bin squatted down, flipping through the items. The vendor pointed at something. "Brother, you got a sharp eye. This is a Qing Dynasty guard medallion. Shame it's rusty, got soaked in water, but still valuable." He leaned in, eyes gleaming. "I won't trick you. 100.000. Take it or leave it." Tran Bin picked up the rusty token. From nearby, people whispered, "A rusty hunk of metal? 100 grand? Seriously? He's probably being scammed." But Tran Bin could see a faint green aura emitting from the dragon-shaped medallion. He muttered, "Didn't expect it to be the real deal." The stall owner, pretending to be emotional, wiped imaginary tears. "Of course it's real. If I weren't desperate to pay medical bills, I'd never sell it." Tran Bin calmly responded, "All right, 100.000. I'll take it." He transferred the money. The vendor added, "All right, it's done. No refunds later, just saying." Clearly, he didn't realize what he had just sold. Tran Bin smiled. "Don't worry, if I got scammed, I'll admit it." Someone nearby mumbled, "Going all in like that. Is that thing hiding some kind of secret?" Others noticed Tran Bin holding the token. Suddenly, it transformed in his hand. The corroded metal radiated a brilliant jade-green glow. Someone gasped. "He struck gold. That's imperial green jade." The vendor, seeing the transformation, was dumbfounded. He rushed over. "Brother, can I buy the jade back from you?" Tran Bin asked. "Weren't you trying to scam me earlier?" The vendor grew hostile. "You brat, refusing to drink the wine I offered, you prefer the punishment." Huh? He had clearly forgotten his earlier words, "No refunds." Then Tran Bin noticed someone nearby, Favi. He narrowed his eyes. "So that's why I was being watched the moment I arrived. You're working with them to scam me." Favi, who always mocked Tran Bin for being poor, now seethed with jealousy. "Why is it always you? Why are you always this lucky?" The vendor cursed. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lost that piece of imperial jade. Give it back." He lunged forward, attempting to snatch it, but Tran Bin didn't back down. He slapped Favi across the face. The two men behind him were also effortlessly knocked down. None of them were a match. The vendor backed off, now trembling. He furiously pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "You little punk, you have any idea where you are? This whole street belongs to Tu Nia Duong. And my cousin's a member." Tran Bin sat calmly on Favi's back. "So what if it's Tu Nia Duong? What's so scary about them?" Suddenly, a voice cut in. "Who isn't afraid of Tu Nia Duong?" "Me." It was Dao Ba, a man rumored to be in charge of the antique street after Ho Jia took it over. People whispered, "So that chubby guy actually has someone backing him. Looks like that young man is in trouble." The scammer immediately started tattling with fake tears. "Cousin, that brat destroyed my stall and stole the imperial green jade I was going to gift to Ho Jia." Dao Ba looked at Tran Bin and ordered, "Kid, hand over the gemstone." Tran Bin calmly raised his hand, revealing the dragon-inscribed ring. "You work for Lam Thien Ho, right? Then tell me, do you recognize this ring?" Dao Ba squinted. He didn't seem to recognize it. "It's just an old ring. What's there to see? I'm telling you, hand over the stone before you really piss me off." Tran Bin raised his voice. "Seems like you don't know. Fine, call Lam Thien Ho. I'll give it to him directly." Dao Ba grew furious. "You got a death wish." But just as he was about to act, his body suddenly locked up. He couldn't move. He was stunned. Tran Bin said coldly, "If you won't call, I'll call him myself." Forced into submission by overwhelming power, Dao Ba reluctantly took out his phone. "Boss, someone's causing trouble at the antique street. He says he knows you." Ho Jia, on the other end, asked, "Who? What's his name?" "I'm not sure, but he's got a ring with a dragon and the word, Len, carved on it." Hearing that, Ho Jia's voice immediately shifted. "That's the heavenly dragon token. That's the Dean Chu, Tran Bin. You idiot, listen to me. Treat him like royalty. I'm coming right now. If anything happens, you're dead." Click. The line disconnected. The fat scammer still didn't understand and muttered, "Cousin, that punk's bluffing. There's no way he knows Ho Jia." Slap. Dao Ba slapped him hard across the face. "You dare lie to me? If anything happens because of you, you won't live to see tomorrow." A while later, the entire scene had flipped. Tran Bin now sat on a chair, legs crossed, relaxed. Behind him stood both Dao Ba and the terrified scammer. Ho Jia, who had been at home, rushed over the moment he heard the name, Tran Bin. He bowed deeply. "Tran Tien Sin, you came to the antique street. Why didn't you let me know in advance?" "This whole street belongs to Tu Nia Duong," Tran Bin said calmly. "I was just passing by. But it seems this place isn't as clean as it should be. Hearing this hint of displeasure from the Dean Chu, Ho Jia was enraged. He stormed over, grabbed Dao Ba by the neck and growled. What the hell happened? Dao Ba confessed. It's my fault, Ho Jia. That bastard over there tried to use money to set up Tran Tien Sin. Ho Jia's face darkened, the temperature in the room dropped. Who dares cause trouble in my territory? The fat scammer was drenched in sweat, trembling violently. Dao Ba picked up a stick and stepped forward. The scammer collapsed in fear, stammering, I was wrong, Dao Ba said coldly. Don't blame me for being harsh. From now on, don't ever show your face on this street again. A pair of guards dragged him out. Ho Jia glanced around and barked. What are you all gawking at? You think this is a show? Dao Ba waved his hand, signaling the crowd to disperse. Turning back, Ho Jia asked, Tran Tien Sin, are you here looking for something in particular? Tran Bin replied, I'm searching for a spirit-infused brush or cinnabar. But from what I've seen, your place likely doesn't have what I need. He turned to leave. Ho Jia quickly said, I'm a simple man. I don't understand these things. But I do know someone who might. Hearing that, Tran Bin stopped and looked back. Ho Jia brought him to a mountain estate. An elderly man with a cane walked out gracefully, exuding presence. Tran Bin stepped out of the car and walked forward. Ho Jia greeted the old man. Master Ko, your presence is truly an honor. But to everyone's surprise, Ho Jia looked a bit shy before this man. So far, he'd only shown that kind of deference to Tran Bin. Old Master Ko, please don't call me Ho Jia. Call me Thien Ho, or just Tu Ho if you like. The elder noticed Tran Bin behind him. This young man looks unfamiliar. Who is he? Ho Jia respectfully replied. This is Tran Tien Sin. I brought him here today, sorry for the intrusion. Old Master Ko waved it off. No trouble at all. Please, both of you, come inside. The three of them entered the grand hall. Tran Bin glanced around, and his eyes landed on a golden dragon throne at the center. Old Master Ko stepped forward and sat on the throne. Please, have a seat, he said. There's a saying, no one visits without a reason. Ho Jia, if there's something you need from this old man, just say it. Tran Bin got straight to the point. I've heard that you're a collector. I'd like to ask if you have a spirit brush. The kind once used by great scholars. Also, do you have cinnabar, the type made from animal blood? Spirit brush? The old man repeated. Ho Jia jumped in. Rest assured, old master, no matter the price, I, Lam Thien Ho, will pay. We won't haggle. The old man smiled lightly. You're too polite. If I truly had such items, I'd gladly gift them to this young cultivator. Wealth is just a number to me. He continued. Brushes are consumables, and those used by literary giants are extremely rare. As for cinnabar made from animal blood, I've never personally handled it. But, he paused. Please continue. Tran Bin urged. It's all right. I don't have any here, said Old Ko, but you could try checking with the ancient Taoist sect. The Taoists there often draw talismans. They might have what you're looking for. Tran Bin respectfully bowed. Thank you for the suggestion, old master. He looked up again at the golden throne. It looked like long serpents were coiled behind the old man. You needn't be so formal, said Old Ko. It's just a minor matter. But Tran Bin couldn't ignore the danger he sensed. He suddenly asked, Old master, may I ask, where did you get that dragon throne? The old man gently stroked the throne's armrest. You can sense it too? That it's no ordinary piece? Tran Bin responded seriously. You'd best burn it. That might just buy you a few more years. The throne was emitting an eerie aura, its dragon eyes glowing red and malevolent. Old Ko's friendly face darkened. Are you cursing me to die, young man? Understandably, no one likes to hear something that sounds like a death sentence. Ho Jia quickly intervened. Old master, I'm sure Tran Tien Sin has a good reason. He wouldn't say something like that without cause. He turned to Tran Bin. Tien Sin, Master Ko isn't an outsider. Please tell us, what's going on? Tran Bin pointed to the throne. That's an authentic imperial seat, and it's drenched in resentful energy. Most likely, an emperor once died on it. Look closely. The difference in the dragon heads is proof. This place has abundant spiritual energy, so it's been suppressing the resentment. But now, the 9 dragon wraiths are starting to invade his body. It's life-threatening. Old Ko scoffed. Nonsense. That's just oxidation. What resentment? Tran Bin turned to leave. You don't have to believe me. I'm giving you this warning only because you helped me earlier. But if you keep dreaming of snakes coiling around you, then eventually, you'll die from suffocation in your sleep. The old man froze. Wait, young man, How do you know I've been having nightmares? Tran Bin replied. Those snakes are actually the 9 wraith dragons of the throne. They're filled with hatred. If they evolve into full dark fiend spirits, not even a golden immortal could save you. Old Ko paled. Fear etched across his face. Then, what should I do? Burn it. Completely. You can't use regular fire. You need to ignite it with spirit paper, said Tran Bin. The old man hesitated, reluctant. Isn't there another way? Tran Bin smirked. Now you don't think I'm a conman anymore. Huh? Old Ko admitted. You truly have remarkable abilities. I was blind not to see it sooner. Ho Jia helped smooth things over. Master Ko didn't mean any offense. We may need your help again in the future. Tran Bin nodded. Then allow me to help purge the wraiths. He raised a finger. Just a few strands of resentment dared to form dragons here? How bold. He struck, light pierced through the lingering shadows. Tran Bin closed his eyes and let out a breath. The oppressive atmosphere lifted. Old Ko was drenched in sweat, but slowly. His body returned to normal. Thank you, you saved my life, he said with deep gratitude. Tran Bin humbly waved it off. It was the right thing to do. Old Ko added. Today was rushed. Tomorrow, I'll host a grand banquet at Regal Hotel. Many of Hong City's elites will attend. I must introduce Tran Tien Sin to everyone. Ho Jia quickly supported the idea. On behalf of Tran Tien Sin, I thank you. With your endorsement, he'll find it much easier to operate here in Hong City. Tran Bin's eyes glinted. You're too kind, Master Ko. On the way back, in the car, Ho Jia spoke up. About earlier, I may have been a little rude. I hope you won't hold it against me. Tran Bin asked. Didn't you say Tu Nia Duong was the underground emperor of Hong City? Yet even you have trouble? Ho Jia sighed. That's just how ordinary folks see it. Truth is, Zich Long Gang is always at odds with us. Especially their leader, Feng Tu Hai. Lately, he's been training in martial arts non-stop. I fear I'm no longer his match. Tran Bin replied. Got it. If anything serious comes up, feel free to find me. Ho Jia's face lit up with confidence. With your support, Dean Chu, what's there to fear? Feng Tu Hai is nothing. Tran Bin rested his arm against the car window. Gazing outside, the car drove off into the night, headed toward the luxurious villa. The next morning, Tran Bin didn't forget to cultivate. He handled the lingering resentment energy from the 9-dragon throne. To his surprise, the energy from the resentful dragons actually helped him break through, advancing him to Qi refinement level 5. Just then, outside the door, Mrs. Tran knocked. Vu Qi, wearing a brand new dress, was already waiting. Tran Bin, hurry and get up. Vu Qi is here to see you. Vu Qi smiled cheerfully. No need to call him. Auntie, I'll go get him myself. She walked into the room. Tran Bin had already put on his coat. You're already awake? She asked. He shot back playfully. Why, were you hoping to catch me undressed? Vu Qi blushed, stuck her tongue out, and turned away. Who wants to see that? Tran Bin asked. So, what brings you here so early? She took his hand. No more questions, just come with me. At the shopping mall, Vu Qi was holding up a shirt, measuring it against him. Tran Bin frowned. You brought me here to buy clothes? She grinned. What, a princess like me going shopping with you? Shouldn't you be flattered? It's not that, Tran Bin replied. I just have a lunch appointment. But Vu Qi kept browsing. She giggled, pushing him toward the fitting room. I don't care what you've got later. Right now, your mission is to try on clothes. Seeing him hesitate, she teased. What, want me to go in and try them on with you? No need, he replied hastily. A while later, Tran Bin stepped out in a brand new outfit. Seeing him, Vu Qi couldn't help but praise him. Your figure isn't bad, this looks really good on you. Tran Bin glanced at himself. Dressed like this, it feels like I'm going to a wedding. She placed her hand on his shoulder. This is even more important than a wedding. They walked out to pay. Vu Qi swiped her card without hesitation. Seeing the price, Tran Bin was shocked. This is a bit much, isn't it? Vu Qi handed him the shopping bag. It's nothing, you were way too plain before. If I let you keep dressing like that, people will laugh at me. Tran Bin was puzzled. I dress simply, why would that make people laugh at you? She turned away, cheeks flushed. I already told everyone I want to be your girlfriend. If you look like a bum, won't people make fun of me? Never mind, I'm going to the restroom. Wait here. As soon as she left, 2 familiar troublemakers appeared, San San and her friend. Wow, check out that guy's back, the friend whispered. So handsome, he's definitely a hottie. San San scoffed. You haven't even seen his face. How can you tell? Instinct, the girl said. You already have young master to you. Let me take this one. But once she saw Tran Bin's face, her excitement froze. Tran Bin looked at her and asked. What, surprised it's me? She sneered. Ha, what are you doing here? Buying fake luxury goods to trick girls? Like a toad wearing dragon robes. Then, without warning, she spat on his new outfit. At that moment, Vu Qi returned. Whether he turns into a dragon or not, it's not your place, little chicken trying to be a phoenix. Seeing the spit on his new shirt, she tensed up. She was ready to wipe it off herself. Or teach someone a lesson. San shouted. Just because you're a DeFamily heiress doesn't mean you can bully people. I told you to wipe it clean. Vu Qi said coldly. Didn't you hear me? Or should I teach you? You think Tiu Kong too will come protect you? At her overwhelming aura, San's friend rushed up. I'll wipe it, let me. But Vu Qi snapped. Who do you think you are? You don't get to touch my boyfriend. San clenched her jaw. You think having money and power gives you the right to bully people? To family women are so arrogant. Smack. Vu Qi slapped her across the face. Not funny anymore, huh? You dare insult me and my man? She stared at San with contempt. I told you to wipe it. San trembled with rage but couldn't retaliate. As she stepped forward, Tran Bin calmly pulled out a handkerchief and wiped the stain himself. I'm afraid your hands are too filthy for my clothes. San was furious, face burning red. All she could get out was, why you? But Tran Bin was done. He took Vu Qi's hand and left. San stood frozen, her face still red from the slap. That bastard Tran Bin, I won't let you get away with this. Tran Bin and Vu Qi walked toward the parking lot. The scene earlier left Tran Bin a bit stunned. Why were you so fierce just now? He asked. That's not like the image of a dignified heiress of the DeFamily. Vu Qi pouted. I just can't stand that smug look on Gun San's face. She hesitated, then asked nervously, did I scare you? No matter how bold she acted, she still cared what her boyfriend thought of her. But Tran Bin replied calmly. Not at all. In fact, I thought you were very attractive just now. He scratched his head. So, can you finally tell me why you made me dress like this? Vu Qi smiled playfully. Today, the old master is hosting a grand banquet at the Regal Hotel. He's invited all the prominent figures of Hong Tan. I'm taking you there, so you can broaden your horizons. Seeing his expression, she puffed out her cheeks. Annoyed. Why are you laughing? If this banquet weren't at my family's hotel, I couldn't even bring you in. Do you know how many people want to attend but can't? Tran Bin nodded. Well, since this is Miss Tu's thoughtful invitation, I suppose I must behave accordingly. Vu Qi opened the car door. Good. Now stop standing there and get in already. Outside the Regal Hotel, a huge crowd had gathered. Even Tiu Laojia, Tiu Loi, and San were there. Tiu Loi looked around. Dad, what's going on? Why are all the big shots in Hong Tan here? Tiu Laojia warned him. Good, you recognize that. Now stay here and behave. Absolutely no more trouble. Tiu Loi pouted. You're not going in? Smack. His father knocked his head. Nonsense. That banquet is for top leaders. You think you're qualified? If you run off, I'll freeze all your cards. Tiu Loi rubbed his head and groaned. Yes, sir. Even if I burn to a crisp outside, I won't leave. Just then, Tran Bin and Vu Qi arrived. She said to him, wait here for a bit. I'll go make some arrangements. In a moment, we'll sneak in through the back door. Apparently, the author ran out of ideas every time the guy is away from his girl. Some random villain dogs show up. Sure enough, San spotted Tran Bin. Isn't that Tran Bin? What's he doing here? Tiu Loi scoffed. You think you're qualified to attend an event like this? Do you even know what day it is? He glanced at Tran Bin's new outfit and clicked his tongue. TCH, you put on new clothes and think you're upper class now? San joined in mockingly. Where's your arrogance from the mall earlier? What? Tiu too didn't bring you in? Or maybe even she isn't qualified to go inside? The spit mark she left on his shirt was still faintly visible. Tran Bin said calmly. Looks like your memory isn't so good. Tiu Loi suddenly remembered something and broke into a cold sweat. San stepped up. Without Vu Qi here, you think I'm afraid of you? A criminal like you wants to attend a banquet for the elite? Hilarious. People around began whispering. Who is this guy? Doesn't look familiar. Maybe he's from out of town? Tiu Loi pointed and declared. That guy is my girlfriend's ex. Spent 3 years kissing up to people, then I threw him in jail. He just got out 2 days ago. Tran Bin stayed silent, face darkening. San shouted. You really have no shame. Still daring to show up here. Suddenly, Vu Qi reappeared. What's with all the noise? Ah, I see. It's just this chicken pretending to be a phoenix again. San's face turned black with fury. HMPH, we're here to attend the banquet too. Vu Qi blinked in surprise. then laughed. You're attending? Then why are you still standing outside? Don't tell me you don't have invitations? She walked to Tran Bin and said softly. Let's go. No need to waste time on these two clowns. Tiu Loi fumed. No way. That girl actually has an invite? San San tugged his arm and whispered. Maybe she's going in through the back. She's trying to sneak Tran Bin in. But what they didn't know. Tran Bin could enter through the front door if he wanted. Tiu Loi shouted. You nearly tricked me. You don't have an invite. You're sneaking that guy in. Vu Qi smirked. Idiot. Regal Hotel is owned by my family. If I want someone to come in, they come in. She snapped her fingers. Hotel security quickly stepped forward. She ordered. Keep watch. Absolutely do not let these two in. The guards saluted. Yes, young miss. And with that, Vu Qi and Tran Bin walked into the hotel. Inside, the old master was welcoming guests with Ho Jia. He said, Everyone, today's gathering isn't for anything formal. I simply want to introduce you to someone. No need to be too reserved. He turned to Ho Jia. Where's Tran Tien Sin? Has he arrived yet? Ho Jia checked his phone and frowned. Not sure, but he should be here soon. Then he paused, looking at his phone again. He understood the issue. So that's why, I should have anticipated this. Meanwhile, a group of guards surrounded Tiu Lao Jia. He was confused. Old master, what's the meaning of this? The old man replied. Mr. Tiu, I don't think you're suited to attend today's banquet. I suggest you head home. Tiu Lao Jia turned pale. Old master, escort him out. The old man interrupted. The guards stepped forward. A nearby guest whispered. Did the Tiu family offend the host or something? Maybe it's related to that mysterious guest the old master invited. Someone else guessed. Back in the hallway, Vu Qi was still trying to be sneaky. She whispered. Let's hide in this corner a bit longer. Once the banquet starts, we'll blend in without being noticed. Little did she know, Tran Bin was actually the VIP guest being introduced. Tran Bin pulled Vu Qi by the hand and strode forward. Why sneak around? He said. Since we're here already, let's go in proudly. Vu Qi stumbled and fell right into Tran Bin's arms. The commotion drew the attention of the old master, Lao Ko. Van Tong quickly stepped forward. Old master, I must apologize. It's my poor arrangements that let a servant sneak in. The old master narrowed his eyes. You're saying Tran Tien Sin is a servant of your family? Van Tong froze in shock. Tran Tien Sin? Tran Bin stepped forward and shook hands with the old master. The old man smiled. This banquet's VIP guest is Mr. Tran Bin. Everyone else is merely accompanying him. Tran Bin asked, I hope I'm not late? The old master replied, You've arrived at the perfect time. But, who is this young lady? Van Tong quickly said, This is my daughter. She's a good friend of Mr. Tran. The old man chuckled. Good. A hero and a beauty, truly a perfect match. Ho Jia stepped up. Mr. Tran, please have a seat. We've been waiting for you. They all sat down at the banquet table. The old master pointed to a seat. To Tiu too. This seat is for you. Of course, the two of you should sit together. Vu Qi sat beside Tran Bin, a hint of shyness in her eyes. The old master raised his glass. Mr. Tran, this toast is for you. As Tran Bin lifted his glass, the old master suddenly noticed a stain on his shirt. Mr. Tran, did something happen to your outfit? Tran Bin replied calmly. Just a couple of reckless fools causing trouble. Nothing major. But Vu Qi couldn't help blurting out the truth. It was the girlfriend of that rich brat Tiu Loi. She used to be Mr. Tran's girlfriend. But after getting with the Tiu family, she looked down on him. The old master's expression darkened. The Tiu family? HMPH. I'll have Tiu VM come over here and apologize in person. But Tran Bin raised a hand. It's a small matter. I can handle it myself. Meanwhile, outside the hotel, Tiu Loi was grumbling. Still not allowed in? Something's off here. San San added. Hey, I think Uncle Tiu just came out too. Excited, Tiu Loi rushed forward. Dad, you came to let me in? But what greeted him was a sharp slap across the face. You idiot, Tiu VM barked. Can't you see I just got kicked out? And you still want to go in? Clutching his face, Tiu Loi cried. Dad, what's going on? Why were you kicked out? Tiu VM growled. How the hell would I know? The surrounding crowd began to whisper. Someone got kicked out of the banquet? Was it the Tiu family? Humiliated, Tiu VM just wanted to crawl into a hole. Inside the banquet, the atmosphere was lively and grand. Vu Qi leaned in. Why didn't you tell me you were the guest the old master invited? I was scared stiff just now. Tran Bin smirked. Well, you didn't say we were going to the old master's banquet. Once I figured it out, I thought I'd give you a surprise. Vu Qi pouted angrily. This is what you call a surprise? From now on, you're not allowed to hide anything from me again, got it? Suddenly, she slipped, but Tran Bin caught her gently. Her cheeks flushed red. You could say, love was in the air. Their faces grew warm, hearts pounding. Vuki shyly closed her eyes, already imagining some romantic scene. But Tran Bin suddenly said, you've got something on your face. She blushed even harder and turned away. You're such a jerk. I'm ignoring you. To Van Tong asked, Mr. Tran, have you thought about what you want to do next? Perhaps start a company? Tran Bin replied, no interest. To Van Tong chuckled, well, that's fine too. Vuki has a good head for business. With her in the company, things will be fine. Looks like he was already planning to marry his daughter off. Suddenly, the banquet doors burst open with a bang. A group of thugs wielding bats and pipes stormed in. The old master immediately rose, grabbing a blade, stepping to the front to protect his guests. To Van Tong panicked. Where are the security staff? Why aren't they doing anything? A man stepped forward with a sneer. Don't bother calling. No one from your side is getting in tonight. The room fell into shock. Tran Bin remained calm, only casting a cold glance over. The man had striking hair, half green, half white, with a heavy gold chain around his neck. It was none other than Feng Tu-hai. To Van Tong quickly spoke up. Feng Tu-hai, don't you know that the old master is the one hosting this banquet? How dare you bring people here to cause trouble? Feng Tu-hai clasped his hands together politely toward the old man. Old master, I didn't mean to cause offense. I'm only here today for Lam Thien Ho. The old master's face darkened. I don't care who you're here for. Do you think you can just barge in and disrupt my banquet? Feng Tu-hai replied calmly. Old master, I don't want to offend you, but I'm also not letting Lam Thien Ho off today. An opportunity like this is too rare. The old master slammed the table. Feng Tu-hai, are you threatening me? Ho Jia, Lam Thien Ho, stepped forward. A real man takes responsibility. If it's me you want, then come at me. Today, I'll take you on. Feng Tu-hai sneered. Good, you've got guts. I'll deal with you first, and then crush Tu Nia Duong. After tonight, Hong Tan will only have one martial arts club, Zich Long Bang. The old master shouted. Insolent. A man behind the old master leapt forward. Feng Tu-hai, you even dare show disrespect to me? You're digging your own grave. Feng Tu-hai smirked. Duong Long, let's not kid ourselves, we're equals in skill. But don't forget, I've got dozens of men backing me. Duong Long's eyes sharpened. Then let's test it. We'll see who walks away standing. He grabbed his sword and charged. Feng Tu-hai spoke calmly. Old master, I didn't want to make this a confrontation. But if you insist, don't blame me if no one walks out alive. The old master trembled in fury, unable to get the words out. Why you? Duong Long and Feng Tu-hai clashed, their auras colliding like two storms. Ho Jia also leapt in. Old master, thank you for your concern. But today, I'll settle this myself with him. Ho Jia threw a punch at Feng Tu-hai, but was immediately sent flying backwards. Shocked and dazed, he couldn't believe what had just happened. Feng Tu-hai taunted him. What's wrong, Lam Thien Ho? Skipped breakfast? That punch was soft as a pillow. Try harder. Ho Jia grabbed a chair and smashed it toward him, but before it even touched him, it shattered into pieces. Feng Tu-hai grinned smugly. My inner power has reached its peak. Lam Thien Ho, you're nothing to me. He charged and landed a heavy kick. Even with his guard up, Ho Jia was still launched across the room, crashing into furniture with a groan of pain. Tran Bin narrowed his eyes, visibly displeased. He started stepping forward to intervene, but Vu Qi wrapped her arms around him from behind. Don't go, she pleaded. That guy is brutal. I don't want you to get hurt. The old master couldn't hold back anymore. He barked an order. Duong Long, teach that brute a lesson. Duong Long leapt forward, his blade landing in the floor with a sharp thunk. He launched into a flurry of punches, but Feng Tu-hai dodged them all with ease. Old master, Feng Tu-hai warned, you're forcing me into this. Don't blame me for what happens next. Duong Long shouted, enough talk, let's go. He swung his sword, but Feng Tu-hai dodged gracefully. He followed up with a kick, but Feng blocked it effortlessly. Feng Tu-hai countered, if that's all you've got, I won't hold back. With one move, he sent Duong Long flying. Still not admitting defeat, Duong Long stood again. Feng Tu-hai, tonight, this ends one way or another. But before the two could clash again, Tran Bin stepped between them, raising both hands. Enough. Everyone froze. You're no match for him. Tran Bin said to Duong Long, if you keep going, you'll only get hurt. Let me handle this. Duang Long scoffed. Let you handle it? With that body of yours, I could knock you out in one hit. The old master bellowed. Shut your mouth. How dare you speak like that to Tran Tien-sen? Even Vu Qi didn't believe him. She clutched Tran Bin tighter, her voice full of concern. Don't go, even Lam Thien Ho couldn't beat him. You may be skilled in medicine, but how could you possibly win in a fight? Tran Bin smiled softly and stroked her head. Don't worry, I have my own way. Besides, if I don't show a little strength, how could I possibly match a powerful lady like you? Vu Qi tightened her grip, eyes shimmering. I don't care about power or prestige. I just don't want you getting hurt. Duang Long snapped. Step back. Fists don't have eyes. This isn't the time to play hero. Vu Qi looked at Tran Bin, confused. You don't look happy. Tran Bin's tone grew cold. Duang Long clearly isn't strong enough to beat Feng Tu-hai, but still refuses to listen. Why throw yourself into pain? Duang Long charged forward. Feng Tu-hai, I may die today, but I'll never admit defeat. But Feng Tu-hai easily kicked him flying across the hall. Yet Duang Long refused to give up. Violent wind fist, he roared. Feng Tu-hai, seeing how determined his opponent was, finally grew serious. So it seems you won't stop unless I use my ultimate move? Fine, then. Duang Long launched himself through the air. Prepare to die. Feng Tu-hai smirked. Exactly the moment I was waiting for. He caught Duang Long's punch midair, then struck him with a devastating palm strike, sending him flying several meters across the floor. Once, Duang Long had been a rival in skill. But now, that was no longer true. Van Tong and the old master were both utterly shocked. Duang Long groaned. Your iron body technique? Where did you learn it? Feng Tu-hai, pumped with adrenaline, declared. Deep Feng Zan, do you know that name? Duang Long's eyes closed in realization. So, you're a disciple of Master Deep. Then I admit defeat. Tran Bin stepped forward and asked. Who's this master? Ho Jia explained. Tran Tien-sen, Deep Feng Zan is a legendary master of ancient martial arts. No one knows the true extent of his power. It's said he could injure someone just by snapping a leaf. Tran Bin pulled out an acupuncture needle. Snapping a leaf to wound someone, like this? Suddenly, Feng Tu-hai froze in place. A needle had pierced his arm. Who did that? Who ambushed me? He roared. Tran Bin calmly stepped forward. I did. Feng Tu-hai sneered when he saw who it was. You? Please, don't make me laugh. Vu Qi ran over anxiously. Tran Bin, stop fooling around. He didn't mean that, just ignore it. Ho Jia reassured her. To you too, don't worry. Tran Tien-sen will be fine. Feng Tu-hai marched forward. You brat, pretending to be a hero? You'll pay for this. You think you can protect Lam Thien Ho with your weak little arms? Tran Bin yawned. So much talking, just fight already. I'm busy. Feng Tu-hai threw a punch. But the moment it hit, it was blocked by an invisible shield around Tran Bin. Not only did it not break through, it even injured Feng Tu-hai's hand. He screamed in pain. Who the hell are you? He shouted. Why do you know my master's secret iron body technique? Tran Bin calmly replied. No need to guess. I don't have a master. And this isn't your so-called iron body technique. He raised his hand, and with a surge of internal force, blasted Feng Tu-hai backward. Your iron body style, Tran Bin said, is just a scam to fool people. Feng Tu-hai hit the ground hard. His men rushed over to help him up. The man coughed and forced a smile. Brother, may I know your name? One day, Feng Tu-hai will return and learn from you. Tran Bin kicked a chair aside. My name is Tran Bin. Come find me anytime if you want revenge. If you're not satisfied, feel free to bring your master too. Ho Jia whispered. Tran Tien-sen, maybe we shouldn't let him leave. A tiger set free will return to the mountains. Tran Bin replied. No need, I know what I'm doing. Feng Tu-hai gave one last glare. Fine, I'll remember this. The river flows long and far, there's still time. Let's go. His gang hurriedly retreated, dragging him along. Everyone at the banquet was stunned. They had all seen Tran Bin's battle. Young as he was, he had single-handedly overpowered the strongest gang in town. People whispered, what a talent. The future of this young man is unimaginable. Tran Tien-sen is truly extraordinary. Today was an eye-opener. He really is a young hero. The old master chuckled. I must apologize. I had no idea you were not only a master of medicine, but also of martial arts. Tran Bin smiled humbly. You flatter me. But Vu Qi was fuming. Why didn't you tell me you knew martial arts? You made me so worried. She thought about how she'd tried to stop him earlier. Like a wife holding back her husband from the battlefield. and her face turned red with both shame and anger. She pinched Tran Bin's arm hard. "Ouch," he cried. "Ow, ow, ow, my arm." Vu Qi panicked. "What? I didn't even use much strength. Are you okay?" Tran Bin dramatically held his side. "That blow from Feng Tu Hai earlier gave me internal injuries. I've been holding it in. And now, you've made it worse." Vu Qi gasped. "Where is it? Let me see." Tran Bin smirked. "It's fine now. You touched it and it healed." She froze, then realized she was being teased. "You jerk," she shouted. "I'm going to kill you." As she chased him playfully. The old master whispered to Van Tong. "To Tong, your family's future looks bright." To Van Tong replied politely. "We still rely on the old master's guidance." The old man chuckled. No, I think it'll be me who needs your support in the future." It seemed even the old master had realized. The strongest piece in this game would be the two families' future son-in-law. At the Tran family's villa, Mr. and Mrs. Tran were taking a walk and chatting. "I still can't believe it," said Mrs. Tran. "Tran Bin just got out of prison. And now he's with a girl like Miss Tu. I wonder how they met." Mr. Tran nodded. "I'm not sure either, but I must say, she really is a good girl." Mrs. Tran tilted her head. "Tell me, what do you think she sees in our Tran Bin?" Just then, a young man appeared, carrying a suitcase, and interrupted. "Vu Qi? She's great in every way, except she's a little playful." The man smirked. Tran Bin only saved her father. So she's just being grateful. No way she'd actually marry him. Mr. Tran narrowed his eyes. "And you are?" "Oh, right." The man chuckled. "Let me introduce myself. I'm her real boyfriend, childhood sweetheart. To be exact." He looked smug. "And frankly, if things go on like this, I'm worried Tran Bin is going to get hurt. As the saying goes, bamboo doors go with bamboo doors. Wooden doors with wooden doors. Welp, cue the entrance of a classic green tea villain." The man suddenly pulled out a wad of cash and offered it. "Take this, and leave. People like you don't belong in that world. This is the best for everyone." Mr. and Mrs. Tran were shaken. Had they just stumbled into trouble with someone powerful? The man added with a chilling smile. "If I had to personally drive you out, don't blame me for being cruel." Mr. Tran clenched his fists, clearly angry. Mrs. Tran, on the other hand, quietly wept. Meanwhile, Tran Bin was still completely unaware. Spending time with Vu Qi. She asked, "How do you know the old Master Ko?" "Just a little stroke of fate." Tran Bin replied. "At least, I've got a lead now, about the spirit brush and cinnabar seal." "That's great news." Vu Qi beamed. "That means there's hope for my dad and aunt's illness." Tran Bin smiled and patted her head. "The old master said that the Taoist priest recently went out for a pilgrimage. We don't know when he'll be back. At least it's a lead," she said optimistically. "Come on, I'll take you back to Ban Long Bay." But just then, Tran Bin received a message and changed his mind. "Vu Qi, actually, take me back to my old place instead." At the Han Fuck neighborhood, Tran Bin returned to his humble, old home. He opened the door, confused. "Why are my parents here? Don't tell me they didn't get used to Ban Long Bay?" But he never expected, they didn't even know the full story. They thought he'd only gotten this far because he saved a rich girl's father. After being threatened, they returned to avoid more trouble. Mrs. Tran said sadly, "Son, Vu Qi is a good girl. But you can't force her to repay a life debt by marrying you. We're not in the same world as the De family." Mr. Tran quietly left. Sensing something odd, Tran Bin turned to his mother. "Did someone say something to you too?" She forced a smile. "Son, return the house at Ban Long Bay. I don't need riches, I just want you to live a peaceful life. Get married, and settle down." Tran Bin nodded gently. "I'll listen to you, Mom." She continued, "Your dad reached out to an old comrade to help find you a job. And Ham, daughter of Auntie Vong, just graduated. You two were childhood friends. If she doesn't mind." He stammered. "About that." Suddenly, Auntie Vong walked in, cutting him off. "Oh, what nonsense. If the kids like each other, I'm all for it. I know what happened with Tran Bin, and I don't blame the boy." Shockingly, Auntie Vong didn't care about their past or the prison record. Instead, she was excited and eager to match her daughter with him. "I only have one daughter. I don't want her marrying far away. I'll call Ham now, she'll come home for dinner." She quickly took out her phone and made the call. Meanwhile, Tran Bin whispered to his mom, "Which Ham is this?" She smiled warmly. "That girl from the next class back in elementary school. She always smiled at you." He blinked. "The one who used to steal my handkerchief and wipe my nose in kindergarten?" His mom laughed. "That's the one, you'll see her tonight." Just then, Auntie Vaughn came back looking a little awkward. Kids these days really don't listen anymore. Tran Bin's phone buzzed. "I'll go take this call." "Mom." It was Ho Jia. After Tran Bin beat Feng too high, Ho Jia wanted to thank him and invite him for dinner. Thinking that if he stayed, he'd be pressured about Ham Ham. Tran Bin didn't hesitate to accept the invitation. That evening, at the Gemini building, Tran Bin strolled toward the elevator. Suddenly, a girl came running in just before the doors shut. "Hold the door." "Wait." Everyone stared. Her outfit was strange, her makeup exaggerated. She bent over, panting for breath, muttering into her phone, "I'm inside the elevator. Now listen, if I eat with him once, the debt is cancelled, right?" She looked up. Beneath the ridiculous makeup, one could still see she was quite pretty, if not for the clownish style. Tran Bin ignored it. Then her voice rose. "You said I must seduce him?" The other passengers looked at each other in confusion. She dramatically removed her hat, revealing her full makeup disaster. Some guys had clearly imagined a cute girl under that hat, and were now breaking into cold sweat. Her gaze swept around. All the men in the elevator looked away. She pulled out a bottle of strong perfume. "You forced me into this. Don't regret it later." The scent instantly choked the elevator. People coughed, covered their noses, turned green. Someone frantically mashed the elevator buttons, praying for an exit. When the doors finally opened, everyone bolted. Only Tran Bin remained inside. She looked at him, surprised. "You're not leaving?" Then, hesitantly, she asked, Is my appearance really that terrible?" Tran Bin answered honestly, "I don't know how to lie." "Good," she said, "that's all I want, just the truth." He said bluntly, "Not pretty." She beamed. Then it worked. Tran Bin looked at her more closely. Suddenly, a memory flashed in his mind. Could it be that little girl from his childhood? Vong Ham Ham? Tran Bin suddenly recognized the girl and blurted out, "Oh, could it be you?" Vong Ham Ham turned her head. "Could be what?" Realizing he was about to reveal too much too soon, Tran Bin quickly backtracked. Nothing." Vong Ham Ham walked off toward a man waiting nearby. That man gently placed a hand on her back and whispered something. Tran Bin saw everything. The elevator showed floor 30. But it didn't look like a restaurant at all. Did Lam Thien Ho give me the wrong address? He wondered. His phone rang. "Tran Tien Sin, where are you?" asked Ho Jia. "I'm already at the top floor of the Twin Towers." Tran Bin replied, "But it doesn't look like the restaurant you mentioned." On the other end, Ho Jia panicked. "Oh no, Tran Tien Sin, I'm across from you, in the other tower." He waved from the window. "Let me come get you." Tran Bin spotted him across the way and shook his head. "No need, I'll come over myself." He headed toward the elevator. But just as the doors opened, chaos unfolded. Vong Ham Ham came rushing toward him, screaming, "Help me, please." Two men in glasses appeared behind her, grabbing her legs and trying to drag her away. She struggled violently, her shoe flying off, and finally managed to crawl into Tran Bin's arms. He held her protectively. Just as one of the pursuers lunged forward, the elevator doors closed, but not before his arm stretched in after her. He yanked it back at the last second. Vong Ham Ham sobbed, eyes filled with grievance, thinking back to her bizarre antics earlier that caused everyone to flee the elevator. Tran Bin handed her a handkerchief. "So, your plan didn't work out, huh?" She took the cloth and explained. "I was scammed, racked up a huge debt. I can't pay it off." Tran Bin raised an eyebrow. "Wait, you really are Vong Ham Ham?" She sniffled. "Someone told me if I had a meal with the boss, maybe he'd help me settle it. That's why." He sighed. "Well, what's done is done. You can't go back." "Of course I know that," she wailed. "That's why I dressed and did makeup as terribly as I could. I even picked the worst outfits." "But who knew?" Tran Bin guessed. "Let me guess. He wasn't turned off. He was actually excited, wasn't he?" Vong Ham Ham wiped her tears and glared at him. "Do you not have a shred of sympathy?" She composed herself again. "Anyway, I hit him with my heel and ran." Tran Bin chuckled. "Not bad. You got some spirit. Even the outlaws of Mount Langshan might give you a seat." She raised her fist at him. "What's that supposed to mean?" But then she squinted. "Wait a minute, you look kind of familiar?" Tran Bin turned slightly. "What is it?" she asked. The elevator door shuddered. Someone outside was trying to get in forcefully. Tran Bin pulled her close. "Oh boy, looks like backup came quicker than I thought. Maybe I should just hand you over?" She panicked. "Wait, so you're not a good guy either?" He flashed a devilish grin. "Hee, you guessed right." His expression made her pale in fear. She backed away instinctively. When the elevator opened, 3 men stood waiting. The one in the middle dressed differently, likely the ringleader. He sneered. "So this is who helped you escape. I was wondering where you got the guts." But Tran Bin didn't waste words. He walked up and slapped the guy across the face. The man clutched his cheek. Furious. Kill him. I want this bastard dead. Now. His men, armed with clubs, rushed forward. Tran Bin shoved Von Ham Ham to the side. Don't get in the way. The moment the thugs swung their weapons, they were blocked by a shimmering force field. It didn't matter what their clubs were made of. Each one bent and snapped upon hitting Tran Bin's invisible barrier. With calm fury, Tran Bin grabbed the chubby ringleader by the wrist. He stared him down. Didn't you just say you were going to kill me? The man trembled, breaking into a cold sweat. Why, you better not get cocky. My family's a major shareholder in this building, Tu Nia Duong. Ho Jia won't let you off. Oops, someone clearly didn't do their homework. Ho Jia? That's Tran Bin's subordinate. Tran Bin whipped out his phone. Yo, I'm at floor 19 across the way. You got 3 minutes. Crawl here, don't take the elevator. Then, he tightened his grip, making the man collapse to the ground in pain, crying out in agony. Mom, Dad. At Tran Bin's command, Ho Jia immediately brought backup and rushed over. But when they arrived, all they saw was Tran Bin standing alone amidst a mess, a pile of groaning bodies strewn across the floor. Ho Jia ran forward and bowed. Master, your subordinate is late. Tran Bin said nothing, instead kicked him in the leg. These guys, they're all from your crew? Ho Jia collapsed, clutching his shin. Master, it's my fault. I didn't manage them well. Without mercy, Tran Bin stepped on the fat guy's foot, making him howl in pain. He turned coldly to Ho Jia. Look at this mess. Is this what your Tu Nia Duong is made of? A bunch of trash? Ho Jia bowed deeply, silent with shame. Tran Bin's voice was calm but full of disgust. I don't care what happened before. From now on, I don't want any more of this garbage. If it happens again. Suddenly, a powerful aura erupted behind him, like a golden dragon manifesting in rage. Ho Jia turned pale, visibly shaken. I understand. I'll return immediately. Clean house. And set new rules. I'll throw out all the bottom feeders. Tran Bin picked up Von Ham Ham. That's your business. Ho Jia quickly bowed again. Rest assured, I'll give you a proper explanation. Tran Bin left the Twin Tower building, carrying Ham Ham in his arms. By the roadside, he looked at her and teased. Still pretending to sleep? Want me to take you home? Von Ham Ham? Her eyes suddenly snapped open, and she leapt from his arms. He smirked. When did you recognize me? She sniffled. It was, when those guys attacked. I was just so worried. Tran Bin. You're not hurt, are you? He calmly took off his coat and draped it over her shoulders. I'm fine. It's over now. Now tell me, what exactly is going on? Hesitant, Ham Ham stammered. Please, don't tell my mom. She'd be furious if she found out. It was just a 1 million debt. If I didn't figure out a way to pay, they would have gone after her. Tran Bin raised an eyebrow. Wait, didn't you just graduate? How'd you end up owing that much? She broke down, sitting on the sidewalk and covering her face. My ex from university, he lied about a startup, used my ID to borrow money, then disappeared. Her sobbing pounded in his ears. He sighed. That's what I keep saying, blind love ruins lives. He sat down in front of her. All right, stop crying. 1 million, well, not small, but not huge either. She looked up, eyes hopeful. You have a solution? With a totally straight face, he replied. Nope, I just got out of prison. What solution would I have? But of course, half the big names in Hong Kong owed him favors. 1 million? Just pocket change to him. He leaned in. You really want to know my method? She nodded furiously. He whispered by her ear. The method is, find another bald guy. Then bolted. Tran Bin, she shouted, shaking her fist in rage. Later that night, back at the Tran residence, Mr. and Mrs. Tran were chatting and laughing with Aunt Vong when Tran Bin walked in, with Von Ham Ham in tow. All eyes turned to the two youngsters. Surprise painted across every face. His father asked, Tran Bin, why are you back with Ham Ham? His mother chuckled. Iya, this rascal, just say you went to pick up Ham Ham. Why lie about a dinner with friends? Trying to surprise us, huh? Aunt Vong, noticing her daughter's messy appearance and red eyes, frowned. Ham Ham, didn't you say you were working overtime? Why do you smell like cigarettes? And have you been crying? Ham Ham panicked and fell silent. Quick on his feet, Tran Bin stepped in. She didn't work overtime. She had drinks with coworkers. Got dragged into a mess. So I brought her home. Aunt Vong gasped and held her daughter's hand. Your coworkers knew you can't drink. Why would they force you? Outrageous. Mrs. Tran comforted her. Don't cry, Ham Ham. Tomorrow, Uncle Tran will ask his old comrade to help find you both good jobs. Mr. Tran laughed. Yes, yes, my old army buddy, shouldn't be a problem. Aunt Vong beamed. Well, say thank you. Safe at last. Ham lit up. Thank you. Father and mother-in-law. I mean, Tran Bin's parents. Mr. Tran waved her off. No need to be so formal. Just doing what we should. As they left, Aunt Vong tugged her daughter along. But Ham turned back for one last glance. Mr. Tran patted his son on the shoulder. Grinning. Not bad, son. Got the girl this fast, just like your old man. Tran Bin sighed. Dad, it's not what you think. Mrs. Tran smiled. Alright, rest up tonight. We're going to Uncle Tun's place tomorrow. At a luxury apartment complex. Tun Fuck Hai unexpectedly pulled out his old military uniform, one he hadn't worn in decades, and put it on. Standing in front of the mirror, he carefully adjusted it. His daughter Tun Chu Man, lying on the couch playing on her phone, glanced over and asked, Dad, why are you wearing that ancient uniform? Going to meet your old army buddies or something? His wife stepped out, somewhat excited. Old Tun, who are you meeting this time? I heard some of them got really successful, if they can help. Maybe our company will survive this crisis. Fuck Hai replied. It's my old class leader. Haven't seen him in years. But don't mention our company troubles. Okay? His wife moved in to help straighten the uniform and casually brought up. Didn't that class leader once save your life? I heard he joined the system after retirement. Tun glanced at his wife. Then at his daughter. Chu Man, we're having guests. Don't you think your outfit's a bit much? She rolled her eyes, got up, and stuck out her tongue. Yeah, I get it. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. They're here. Tun Fuck Hai hurried to open the door. The Tran couple stood waiting outside. Tun's eyes lit up. Class leader, I missed you so much. It's been years, your hair's all white. Seeing Tun in that old uniform, Tran Bin's father laughed and clapped his shoulder. You little punk. Getting chubby and still daring to wear that? Tun's gaze drifted to Mrs. Tran. Her husband introduced her. This is my wife, Duong Hong An. A few years ago, she lost her eyesight due to illness. She smiled politely. Then he pulled Tran Bin forward. This is my son. Hello, Uncle Tun. Tran Bin greeted. Tun looked him over. Such a fine young man. Just like you were when you were young. Class leader. His wife stepped out to greet them. Tun introduced her. This is my wife, Li Fuang Ha. Hello, sister-in-law, Mr. Tran said. Oh please, come in. Don't just stand there, she beamed. They all entered the apartment and began chatting. Just then, Tun Chu Man emerged. Chu Man, come greet Uncle Tran, her dad ordered. She pouted, gave a lazy glance, and muttered, Hello, Uncle. That sour expression could have made her father explode on the spot. Tran Bin noticed the contrast, a father doing his best to raise a daughter who refused to be taught. Mr. Tran chuckled. Come now, Fuck Hai, we're getting too old to get mad over these things. Trying to bring up the real matter. Li Fuang Ha asked carefully. Brother Tran, after you retired, you joined the system, right? You must be a high-ranking official now? Mr. Tran hesitated. Fuck Hai, to be honest, I offended someone and got dismissed. What happened? Tun asked. It's all in the past. Tran Bin was framed and just got out of prison. I was hoping you could help him find a job. Even if it's hard, it's fine. Upon hearing this, Li Fuang Ha's expression turned cold. Oh, so the noble guest in our house is a dismissed official with a son fresh out of jail? Tun Fuck Hai snapped. Watch your mouth. Mr. Tran sighed. If it's difficult, forget it. No, it's not that I don't want to help. Tun said. It's just, my company might go under soon. We've been hit by bad debt. Our capital chain is a mess. He glanced at Tun Chu Man. I'll ask my daughter. Her company's a large group. Maybe Tran Bin can start from the bottom. Chu Man scoffed. I just joined. What makes you think I can help? Tun smirked. What about your boyfriend, Boy Triveen? Isn't he the sales director? Can't even hire one guy? This is final. If Boy Triveen can't do that, maybe you two aren't meant to be. A nail in the coffin. He was forcing her to help Tran Bin find work. She glared. Why are you doing this? Dad? She stormed out. Tun Fuck Hai apologized. She's always like that. Don't take it to heart. Mr. Tran stood up. Thank you. Fuck Hai. We'll be on our way. The two old friends gripped hands. We'll drink together next time, Tun said. As they were about to leave, Tran Bin turned back. Uncle Tun, what's the name of the company that owes you money? Fuck Dean Jewelry. Why, do you know someone? No, just thought I might be able to help you recover it. Tun smiled. Thanks, but don't do anything foolish. If only he knew that this young man was now a shadow tycoon of Hong Tong. the son-in-law of the family, and held 2 nia duong in the palm of his hand. On the drive home, Mr. Tran kept reminding him, "Your Uncle Tun is a good man. If you get the job, don't disappoint him." "I know, Dad," Tran Bin replied. He checked his phone. A message from Vong Ham Ham, his brow furrowed. Mrs. Tran looked at him worriedly. "But what about Ham Ham?" He opened the text. "Urgent. They're here again, debt collectors? I don't know what to do. I'm scared Mom will find out." He said calmly, "I'll talk to her later. If I get the job, I'll have opportunities. Don't worry." Mr. Tran nodded. "We just have to take it one step at a time." Tran Bin quickly replied, "Meet them outside. Don't let Aunt Vong see them. I'll be there soon. Protect yourself." On the street, Vong Ham Ham stood nervously checking her phone. The debt collectors were approaching. The leader sneered, "If you don't pay today, I'll just take valuables from your house to settle it." A gang of thugs surrounded her, and she trembled. "Please, just give me 2 more days." He stepped closer. 2 days? Maybe, but you'll need to come with us today." His hand reached for her face. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his wrist. "Wait." It was Tran Bin. "I'll pay the 1 million she owes." "For her." Everyone froze. The goon blinked, stunned. Tran Bin let go of his wrist. The guy sneered, "Trying to be a hero. Huh? Save the damsel in distress? Well, kid, she doesn't just owe 1 million. Vong Ham Ham's eyes widened in fear. But last week it was still just 1 million. Kwong Tu, the thug, removed his sunglasses and smirked. "Last week was last week. What, you think I don't charge interest? If she wants to settle it now, she owes at least 1.3 million. The color drained from Ham Ham's face. Her body went limp as if she was about to faint. Tran Bin caught her just in time. His voice remained steady. "Fine. 1.3 million. I'll pay it." Ham Ham looked up, stunned. "Tran Bin, where did you get that kind of money?" He chuckled. "Everyone's got secrets. Just promise me, keep mine." Suddenly, Kwong Tu pulled out a sharp knife. "You think you can play games with me? Punk? You know what happens to people like that?" Tran Bin stared at the blade. "What if I fail? What then?" The goon licked the blade and spat. "Tastes like rust." Tran Bin shrugged. "Rust's fine. Looks like your face could use more iron anyway." The thug roared, threw a punch. "Missing iron, huh? Let's see how this iron fist feels." Tran Bin casually blocked it. "Chill, no need to get violent. We're all getting old. Come, let's go to the bank." That made the goon pause. He was sweating. "Damn, bold kid. Fine, I'll trust you this once. Get in the car." The debt collector's van was waiting, only missing one passenger. Tran Bin turned to Ham Ham and gently patted her head. "I'll go with them. You head back. It's okay." She nodded reluctantly. "Okay, I understand." As the van disappeared down the road, tears welled up in her eyes. She couldn't hold them back anymore. Later, at the bank, there was a long queue, and Tran Bin waited patiently. A staff member approached, eyeing his simple outfit. "Sir, if you're just withdrawing money, you can use the ATM over there. No need to wait at the counter. I need to withdraw a large amount. The ATM might not be enough." The woman frowned, a little skeptical. "How much are you looking to withdraw?" "Over 1 million. At that moment, a couple entered the bank. The woman recognized him immediately. "Wait, is that Tran Bin?" He turned. "Lee Dong Mai, from middle school?" She sneered. "I heard you just got out of prison. How long's it been?" The bank clerk took a cautious step back. Even the label of ex-convict was enough to turn heads. But Tran Bin stayed calm. "Yeah, just got out. I heard you quit school after middle school?" She flicked her hair. "Of course, what's the point of studying when money talks? My husband now has over 10 million in assets." Tran Bin gave a thumbs up. "Nice, must be a looker too." "Huh?" She scowled, clearly realizing he was mocking her. Then the clerk interjected. "Sir, for withdrawals over 500,000, you need to book in advance." "Did you?" He scratched his head. "I need the cash urgently." "No exceptions?" Lee Dong Mai chimed in. "Fresh out of jail and already flashing millions? Don't tell me you stole that money." But he ignored her. He handed the bank card to the clerk. "There's over 10 million in this account. I'd like to withdraw 1.3 million. She froze. Her expression shifted instantly. "Please wait just a moment." "Sir, I'll inform the branch manager." She scurried off. VIP customer detected. Lee Dong Mai looked nervous. "You really have that much money?" He glanced sideways. "What's it to you?" Moments later, the bank manager rushed out, sweating. "Sir, I apologize for the delay. We've reviewed your request, but currently we don't have that much cash on site. We're arranging an urgent transfer. Would you please rest in my office while we prepare it?" Not to be outdone, Lee Dong-mai tugged her husband's arm. "Honey, let's withdraw $1 million too." Her husband strutted forward. "There's 10 million in this card. I want to withdraw 1 million. The manager glanced at the card and hesitated. It was a regular card. Meanwhile, Tran Bin's was a VIP prestige card, specially issued by the De family, personally arranged by De Van Tong, the powerful patriarch. The manager smiled apologetically. "Sorry, sir, without an appointment, large withdrawals aren't allowed." Lee Dong-mai scoffed. "What kind of trashy bank is this? Why does he not need an appointment but we do? I'm filing a complaint." The manager wiped his sweat. "Because he's our top-tier VIP. You are regular customers. There's a difference." Lee Dong-mai wasn't having it. "Impossible. No way he's a VIP. He's a damn ex-con." The manager raised Tran Bin's card. "This is a custom VIP card from the De family, one of the richest in Hong Kong. Do you really think you can compare?" He waved to security. "Escort them out." Lee Dong-mai and her husband were immediately thrown out of the bank. Even then, she refused to believe what she saw. She started speculating wildly. How could that ex-con be connected to the De family? Something shady's going on, for sure. Her husband rolled his eyes. "Enough already. Who cares if it's true or not? It's got nothing to do with us. Let's go." Just then, they ran into Kwang Tu, the debt collector. He waved excitedly. "Yo, Boss Cow, long time no see." The man blinked. "Kwang Tu? You guys here for collection too?" Lee Dong-mai narrowed her eyes. Kwang Tu grinned. "Yeah, we've got a guy inside. Paying off a debt." She asked curiously. "Wait, is the debtor's name Tran Bin?" Kwang Tu raised an eyebrow. "Whoa, you know him? He's paying off a 1.3 million debt." Boss Cow chuckled, wrapping his arm around Lee Dong-mai. "By the way, Kwang Tu, this is my girlfriend." Kwang Tu grinned. "Ah, nice to meet you, sister-in-law. Actually, the money's not even his debt. It's for some college girl who took a high-interest loan. The kid just stepped in for her." Lee Dong-mai, ever the gossip, jumped in. "High-interest loans? Then you should raise the interest on him. That guy's got over 10 million. Kwang Tu's eyes flickered. "Huh? Doesn't look rich to me." She sneered. Not all rich guys can casually withdraw $1 million in cash. That was enough for Kwang Tu. "You heard her. Boys, let's go." Just then, Tran Bin walked out of the bank with a suitcase full of money. Before he could even breathe, he was surrounded by the debt collectors. He tossed the suitcase to the ground in front of Kwang Tu. "Here, 1.3 million. Every last dong." One of the goons opened the case. It gleamed with the scent of fresh bills. Kwang Tu licked his lips. But now, emboldened by Lee Dong-mai's words, he decided to press his luck. Actually, I just recalculated. With new interest, the total is now 2 million. From the side, Lee Dong-mai chimed in gleefully. "Come on, Tran Bin, didn't you say you had 10 million? What's another few 100,000? Tran Bin's face darkened. He stared at her, so this was who caused the sudden spike. He stepped forward and bent down to retrieve the suitcase. "If you don't agree, I'll just take this back." But Kwang Tu slammed his foot down on the suitcase. "Kid, once you bring out the cash, it's not up to you anymore." He waved his hand. "Get him." The goons surged forward. Big mistake. In a blur of motion, Tran Bin grabbed two arms, twisted them, and kicked another guy across the pavement. Effortless. In seconds, they were all on the ground, groaning. Only Kwang Tu was left, flat on his butt. Panicked, crawling backward. "Don't come any closer. I'm with the Zich Long gang. Our boss is Feng Tu Hai." Bad move. He didn't know it yet, but just days ago, Feng Tu Hai had been defeated by none other than Tran Bin himself. Tran Bin stepped forward, stomping on the guy's foot. "If you hadn't said that, I might have spared you, but now, no chance." Kwang Tu screamed in pain. Then, Tran Bin calmly picked up the suitcase and turned to leave. Lee Dong-mai, watching from the side, paled. She slumped to the ground, shaking. It had all been her doing. She tipped off the collectors, stirred the pot. Now she was terrified he'd come after her. But Tran Bin didn't even glance her way. He walked right back into the bank. Meanwhile, across the street, Vong Ham Ham was still anxiously waiting. Suddenly, a voice rang out behind her. "Here's the payment, you little troublemaker." Startled, she spun around and shoved him on instinct. Then she realized who it was. Tran Bin. He laughed. "Easy there. The debt's handled. Tomorrow's interview, if it works out, I'll go with you." Her eyes teared up. "Tran Bin, I don't know how I'll ever repay you." She was incredibly lucky to have run into him, without his help. That debt could have destroyed her life. He smiled gently. "Just remember this. Next time you pick a boyfriend, Keep your eyes wide open. You won't always be this lucky. Just then, his phone rang. It was Vu Ki. Tran Bin, where are you and your parents? I just spoke to the security guard. He said you've moved out of the Ban Long Villa. Tran Bin replied, my parents said they weren't used to it. The place was fancy, but they preferred being around familiar neighbors. Little did he know, his parents had lied. Who wouldn't want to live in a luxury villa? Vu Ki sighed. If it's what uncle and auntie want, then okay, let's talk next time. As he hung up, Ham Ham leaned in curiously. Was that your girlfriend? He scratched his head, flustered. I mean, we've never officially. I haven't confessed yet. Her eyes glistened. It's okay, Tran Bin, if you don't want to talk about it. I understand. Anyway, my mom's waiting. I won't bother you. Without another word, she turned and ran off. Eyes wet, Tran Bin stared after her. That girl, don't tell me. That morning, Tran Bin's mother helped him prepare for his interview. She carefully laid out a suit for him, brushing off the lint as she murmured with emotion. This suit, we originally got it for your wedding 3 years ago. Who would have thought? Before she could finish, his father cut in gently. Alright, what's done is done. Tran Bin, do your best at the interview today. Adjusting his tie calmly, Tran Bin nodded. I know, Dad. Just then, Mr. Tran's phone rang. It was Tun Chu Man. Uncle Tran, what time is it already? Why aren't you done yet? I've been waiting downstairs forever. If this happens again, I won't bother introducing anyone else. Before he could respond, she hung up. What an attitude. A textbook example of a bratty, stuck-up villainess. Mr. Tran sighed. It's Tu Man. She's already waiting downstairs. Hurry up, and remember to speak politely to her. Tran Bin said goodbye to his parents and headed down. At the Han Fuck residential complex, Tun Chu Man was already waiting by her car. True to her arrogant nature, she pinched her nose and muttered with disdain. What kind of dump is this? It reeks. How can anyone even live here? Tran Bin approached and greeted her with a friendly smile. Sorry for the wait, she snapped. If it weren't for my dad, I wouldn't bother with this at all. What's up with that suit? He explained with a sheepish smile. I bought it 3 years ago. The style's a bit dated, but it's still brand new. She rolled her eyes as she walked over to her car. Who even wears that kind of suit anymore? Forget it, just get in. As he reached for the passenger seat, she quickly added, back seat, not everyone gets to sit up front. She bit her lip dramatically, as if enduring some grand injustice. Riding with this type of person made Tran Bin feel exhausted. He let out a sigh. Suddenly, she floored the gas pedal and the car zoomed ahead. Before he could say anything, she snapped, when we get to the company, don't act like you know me. Don't expect me to help either. Getting you an interview was already the most I could do. Whether you pass or not is up to you. He glanced out the window and replied calmly. Understood. The car came to a stop in front of Tam Vu Nyat Hua Corporation. As he saw the sign, Tran Bin was surprised. Wasn't this Vu Kai's family business? What were the chances? He asked. Is this a family enterprise? She smirked. Looks like you've got some eye for business. Tam Vu Nyat Hua is indeed a subsidiary of the corporation. The richest group in Hong Kong. Not just anyone can get in. So it really was her family's company. Tran Bin silently made a decision. Better not let Vu Ki find out. This could get awkward. They stepped inside. A man was already waiting. He beamed as he greeted her. Tu Man, you're late today. Her haughty attitude vanished the moment she saw her boyfriend. She walked over, all charm. Don't mention it. My dad made me pick up his old comrade's son. Phuig Tri Vien turned to smile politely at Tran Bin, though his eyes were cold. What a coincidence. He's here for an interview. If you don't want him staying in the company, I'll make sure he gets rejected. Tun Chu Man whispered into his ear. Just don't make it too obvious. If he complains to my dad, it'll be trouble. Oh, and didn't he do time before? Use that as an excuse to reject him. Tran Bin noticed the exchange. He held back his emotions. For the sake of her kind father, he wasn't going to make a fuss. She turned to him afterward. Follow him later. And remember, don't tell anyone we know each other. Phuig Tri Vien led Tran Bin inside. Wait here. Someone will call your name shortly. Tran Bin nodded and quietly sat down. A young man nearby struck up conversation. Hey, man. You here for the interview too? Tran Bin replied bluntly. What else would I be here for? The guy leaned in. Let me tell you, this place isn't easy to get into. The last few guys were all from top universities. Where did you study? Tran Bin answered. Bagjiang Business Academy. The guy stifled a laugh. Bagjiang? That place isn't even as good as Lam Tuong, where I went, and you still dared to apply here? Gutsy, I'll give you that. A female receptionist came out. Please hand me your resumes. I'll call you in one by one shortly. She collected the documents and reached Tran Bin. May I have your resume? He said. I don't have one. She paused. Maybe he was a referral? Then may I ask your name? Tran Bin. The guy next to him looked stunned. Wait, you got in without a resume? And that guy who brought you here, he's one of the interviewers today. Right? Suddenly, his attitude shifted. He pulled out a stick of gum, offering it with a smile. Hey bro, if you do have connections, put in a good word for me. Yeah? I'll repay you handsomely if I get in. Tran Bin accepted the gum and said, Sure, if I make it, I'll help you out. A while later, a girl came running out of the interview room in tears. Another one rejected. The receptionist called the next name. Tran Bin. Inside the interview room, Tran Bin looked completely calm, no trace of anxiety. One interviewer said, Since you didn't submit a resume, please introduce yourself verbally. He answered directly. I studied at Bagjiang Business Academy. 3 years ago, I was imprisoned for intentional injury. I was recently released after serving my full sentence. The interviewer exchanged glances with Thoy Tri Vien, then turned to him. Do you even know what kind of company this is? Who our backer is? You're an ex-con and dare show up here for an interview? Did he know Tran Bin was actually the future son-in-law handpicked by President to himself? Better be careful, he might just be biting into the wrong apple. Tran Bin calmly retorted, Why wouldn't I dare? Your company has no policy banning former inmates, right? The interviewer scoffed. There may not be a formal rule, but hiring you would hurt our company's image. I hope you understand your own limitations. Tran Bin saw through him. This guy wasn't just rude. He had personal issues too. With a smirk, Tran Bin jabbed. If I were you, I wouldn't even have the face to sit here. Even your wife sighs through the night. You think you're in a position to judge me? The man slammed his hand on the table in fury. What nonsense. My wife and child are perfectly happy. You're just talking trash. Tran Bin stood up and coolly exposed the man. Your condition was congenital. Due to trauma, you can't have children. That kid? If it wasn't adopted, then it's definitely not yours. The man lost it, completely unhinged. You're making that up. Seeing the commotion, Thoy Tri Vien stepped in. That's enough. Everyone sit down. A female colleague spoke up, waving her hand dismissively. Forget it. I don't want to deal with this guy either. With a background like his, he's not even fit to be a security guard. Get out. Hands in his pockets. Tran Bin didn't even bother to argue. A company of this size, and yet, filled with people like you? Really makes you wonder. As he headed toward the door, a man blocked his path. Are you Tran Bin? Tran Bin didn't know who he was, but this man was none other than Hin Tong, Vu Kai's childhood friend, and the very person who drove Tran Bin's parents out of the Ban Long Bay villa. He could clearly feel this guy's hostility, though he had never met him before. Thoy Tri Vien rushed over. President Hin Tong didn't say much. He simply declared, Keep him. But sir, he's an ex-con. Hin frowned. Are you teaching me how to do my job? No, of course not. He turned and walked off. Thoy Tri Vien was stunned. They were planning to reject Tran Bin from the beginning. So he knows President Hin? But Tran Bin answered honestly. He's the general manager, right? I don't know him. He didn't, but he knew the person President Hin admired, to Vu Ki, the woman who secretly had feelings for Tran Bin. Thoy Tri Vien groaned. Forget it. Go finish the onboarding paperwork. I'll assign someone to show you around. The guy from earlier, the one who gave Tran Bin gum, came out. Fuming. You're a convict? Why didn't you say so? Now I'm doomed if I don't get hired. It's your fault. A female employee called out. Mr. Tran, please come with me. For onboarding, we'll need your ID card. Do you have it? Yes. As Tran Bin followed her, the gum guys stared in disbelief. Around them, murmurs began to spread. That Tran Bin guy, he must have a connection with President Hin. He was in prison, right? What if I had to sit next to him? That's terrifying. Don't talk nonsense. He knows the boss, careful, or you'll jinx yourself. Then Tun Chu Man stormed in. What are you all gossiping about? Don't want to work anymore? A colleague whispered. Tiu Man, your sales department hired an ex-con. I heard he knows President Hin. Her face froze. Tran Bin got hired? But the plan was to reject him for being a former prisoner. Gritting her teeth, she growled. That guy? How could he know Hin Tong? He must have just stepped in some ridiculous luck. I'll ask Director Thoy about this later. But just then, Thoy Tri Vien himself showed Tran Bin into the office. Welcome to the sales department. I hope you cherish this opportunity. He turned to a nearby staff member. Dong Keen, come here a sec. Yes, Director? Patting his shoulder. From now on, you'll guide Tran Bin. You're a team. Help him out. Dong Keen had heard rumors about Tran Bin being a former convict. Sweat beaded on his forehead. As Thuy Tri Vien left, hastily, if not outright escaping, Dong Keen stammered. Bro, my name's Trong Dong Keen. Please, show me the ropes. He got it backwards. He was supposed to be the one guiding Tran Bin. Tran Bin noticed his awkward expression and asked. Relax, I don't bite. You've heard things, haven't you? Trong Dong Keen hesitated. Kinda, but you don't look like a bad guy. So why were you in prison? Tran Bin didn't dodge it. It's a long story. I was set up by someone over a woman who wasn't even worth it. 3 years of my life. Gone. That explanation earned Dong Keen's sympathy. Man, that's rough. Oh, by the way, I had to tell you. Our team might not last much longer. What? I just got hired. The last sales guy left a complete mess. There are tons of outstanding accounts. If we can't recover them this month, we're all out. Tran Bin flipped through the files on his desk. A few moments later, he slammed them shut, hard enough to draw Dong Keen's attention. What's wrong, bro? I'm just wondering, with debts this high, what's your general manager doing? I don't dare say it, but these accounts are really tricky. We might not be able to recover them on our own. Tran Bin reassured him. Don't worry, we'll get every cent back, one way or another. Dong Keen nodded, still confused. How could he be so confident? But with Tran Bin on the team, no problem was unsolvable. In Hong Tan, if he ever revealed his true identity, who would even dare oppose him? Sadly, the author just loved tormenting readers, making us watch Tran Bin get humiliated over and over again. We're left boiling with frustration on his behalf. Damn, reading this really makes your blood boil. Huh? Tran Bin, the low-key king of this whole story, kept being looked down on. And those girls who kept sneering at him, still haven't gotten what they deserved. That afternoon at Tam Vu Nyat Wa Company, Tun Chu Man approached Tran Bin and said, according to company rules, new employees must treat everyone to a meal. Where are you planning to host it? Tran Bin looked up, puzzled. What kind of absurd rule is that? Just then, Trong Dong Keen happened to walk by and explained. Brother Tran, it's an old custom in the sales department. I spent over 10 grand when I joined. If you don't follow it, people will isolate you. Thuy Tri Vien chimed in too. Tran Bin, now that you've joined sales, you should respect our department's traditions. I'm the one who set this rule back when I was sales director. Ah, that explained it. No wonder this custom was so ridiculous. It matched Thuy Tri Vien perfectly. Tran Bin clicked his tongue. A rule set by you. Huh? Sorry, but I don't have that kind of money right now. Besides, you're all supposed to be company elites, not beggars fishing for a free meal from me, right? Gasps echoed in the room. What Tran Bin just said was nothing short of a slap in the face. But he wasn't interested in arguing. He brushed past Thuy Tri Vien without another glance. Teeth clenched, Thuy Tri Vien glared daggers at Tran Bin. Later, he and Tun Chu Man went to a restaurant. Still baffled, he asked, Tiu Man, what's the deal between your dad and Tran Bin's family? Why was that guy even hired? Let alone celebrated? Tun Chu Man replied with a bored tone. Just an old comrade of my dad's, nothing major. Thuy Tri Vien scoffed. Just an old comrade and he gets that kind of treatment? Ridiculous. Tun Chu Man snapped. Can we not talk about Tran Bin? It's giving me a headache. Thuy Tri Vien agreed. You think I want to? Just seeing his face disgusts me. Well, get used to being disgusted for a long time, buddy. Ironically, they were so self-absorbed they didn't notice Tran Bin walking right behind them. Typical of people who look down on others, they never saw what was right in front of them. Tun Chu Man whispered, if I were there earlier, I would have kicked him out myself. Don't say anything reckless at work, okay? Relax, Thuy Tri Vien assured her. Suddenly, Tran Bin spoke up from behind, causing both of them to nearly jump out of their skins. Don't worry, he's quite the actor. The elevator doors opened. The two of them darted out as if they'd seen a ghost. Tran Bin just smiled, calm and confident. Inside the restaurant, Thuy Tri Vien opened the door and spotted the parents of both Tun Chu Man and Tran Bin. He was familiar with his girlfriend's parents, but this was his first time seeing Tran Bin's. Hello, sir, ma'am, and these are. Just then, Tran Bin entered. My parents. Thuy Tri Vien froze. Ah, hello, uncle, auntie, he stammered. Li Fuang Ha smiled warmly. Tri Vien, come sit down. We're all family here, no need to be formal. Everyone sat down. Tun's father brought up the job Tran Bin had just started. Tri Vien, thanks to you, I was able to boast a little to my old class monitor. Mr. Tran chuckled. Fuck hi, don't tease me, I was the one who asked you for help. Meanwhile, Tun Chu Man had totally forgotten she was the one who tried to get Thoi Tri Veen to reject Tran Bin that very morning. In truth, it was only thanks to that love rival, President Hin, that Tran Bin had gotten the job. Yet she still had the nerve to take credit for it. But just as she was about to open her mouth, she caught a cold, wolf-like stare from her father and shut up immediately. Well played, Uncle Tun, you deserve a like. Just then, Tun Fuck Hi's phone chimed. He checked the message, then beamed. Double happiness today. The debt from Fuck Due Decorations has been cleared. The company boss even personally begged accounting to accept the money, almost knelt down. They said, from that description, it was obvious Tran Bin had taken care of it. But of course, someone else just had to jump in and steal the credit. Tun Chu Man whispered to Thoi Tri Veen. Didn't you say you had connections with Ho Jia from Tunia Hall? Was that you? She grabbed his arm, proud as ever. I knew it was you. But poor Thoi Tri Veen was still frozen, he hadn't done anything. Still, with both families watching, he couldn't afford to lose face. Even if it wasn't him, he'd pretend it was. Oh, that? Yeah, I casually mentioned it to Ho Jia. He turned to Tun Fuck Hi with false confidence. Uncle, if your company ever needs help in the future, just let me know. Tran Bin almost choked. When did my hard work become this greenhead's accomplishment? He silently cursed. This guy really dares to claim any merit for himself. Tun Fuck Hi looked touched. Then I'll leave everything in your hands. My only daughter is Tu Man. Everything I have will one day be hers. Tun Chu Man hugged Thoi Tri Veen, glowing with happiness. He, meanwhile, was already daydreaming about a lavish wedding. He saw himself being handed the golden key to Tun's treasure vault. When he opened it, all he saw was blinding gold. And he dove into it gleefully. So that's why he put up with her temper. He was in love with the Tun family's money. One arrogant, one greedy, Tun Chu Man and Thoi Tri Veen were truly made for each other. But then, Tran Bin's laughter shattered their little fantasy. Tun Chu Man slammed the table. What are you laughing at? Tran Bin smirked. Oh, I just remembered something very funny. Oh really? Tun Fuck Hi looked puzzled. Then share it with us. Let's all have a laugh. Tran Bin stood up, smiling. I just remembered something funny on my way here. I saw an orangutan and a piglet performing on the street. He circled around and stood behind Thoi Tri Veen. Continuing, that little pig didn't care about anything, just crazily eating and slurping up rice water. Then the orangutan started mimicking it, slurping rice water and grunting like a pig, trying to entertain the crowd. Everyone laughed and said, that's not an orangutan, it's just a pig. And slowly, the orangutan really believed it was a pig. At this point, Tran Bin leaned closer behind Thoi Tri Veen and spoke with a calm, deliberate tone. Then, someone from the slaughterhouse came. The pig got scared and ran off. But the orangutan was still trying to drink rice water like a pig. When they asked, where's the pig? Everyone pointed and said, right there, that's the pig. But the butcher said, that's just an orangutan. Suddenly, Thoi Tri Veen's face darkened. He shot up and snapped. Who are you calling an orangutan? Tran Bin pointed, deadpan. Oh, then you must be the pig. He grabbed Thoi Tri Veen's wrist. Continuing the story. And then the butcher took the orangutan home, slice. Tun Chu Man couldn't take it anymore. Stood up and snapped. What's your point? Huh? All this talk? What are you really trying to say? Tran Bin shrugged, casual and calm. Nothing at all. Thoi Tri Veen, not willing to let it go, barked. You got the job today. And instead of treating everyone like you're supposed to, you go watch monkey performances? Mr. Tran heard this and asked, what's going on, Tran Bin? Tran Bin replied honestly. Dad, it's simple, I have no connection with them. So why waste money on people who don't matter? Mr. Tran snapped. Shut it, they helped you, and you don't even understand the basic principle of reciprocity? Tran Bin was fed up. Help me? How exactly did Thoi Tri Veen help? What did Tun Chu Man do? A bunch of old employees expecting the new guy to pay for dinner. Even the credit for clearing Fuck Due's debt was stolen right out of my hands. And yet you still think I'm the one in the wrong? Feeling things getting heated, Tun Fuck Hi stepped in. Class monitor, don't be angry. He's just being frugal. Worst case, just put the bill on me. Thoi Tri Veen jumped at the chance to act generous. That's fine, we'll settle it over dinner. Tun Fuck Hi nodded. Alright, you two are young men. Share a drink and let bygones be bygones. Thoi Tri Veen raised his glass. Really, it's no big deal. Come on, Tran Bin, let's have a drink. Mr. Tran, seeing this, smiled. Fuck Hi, your daughter's boyfriend is not bad at all. Mr. Tun nodded proudly. Exactly, and thankfully, He knows Lam Thien Ho, without that, we'd never have gotten that debt paid off. Mr. Tran hesitated. But isn't he the gang boss from Hong City? Best not to associate too closely with someone like that. Thuy Tri Vien interjected smugly. Uncle, I don't agree. Everyone in Hong City wants to know someone like Ho Jia. Someone like Tran Bin wouldn't even get that chance. Mr. Tun, still stuck in the old ways, tried to play it cool. Class monitor. Times have changed. Gotta keep up. Thuy Tri Vien held out a glass. Tran Bin, pour some for us. Can you even manage that? Tran Bin frowned, unimpressed. Not really, mainly because this wine is trash. He added dryly. Back in prison, I was used to drinking my old man's strong brew. Thuy Tri Vien laughed nervously. Then what do you want to drink? Tran Bin pulled out a traditional gourd flask. Seeing this, Mr. Tun asked. Class monitor, did Tran Bin always carry something like that? Mr. Tran replied. Never seen it before. Mrs. Tran grew worried. Don't show off too much. Dear, Tran Bin reassured her. Don't worry, Mom, I know what I'm doing. He poured a full cup and downed it in one shot. No fancy rules, just bottoms up. Thuy Tri Vien, now clearly sweating, still pretended to be confident. Bottoms up it is. Tran Bin tossed the flask to him. He caught it, poured a full bowl, and gulped it down. Then the flask was thrown back to Tran Bin. He caught it with ease, lifted it to his lips, and drank directly from the mouth. He laughed, loudly and freely, just like my master taught me. And there it was, the signature laugh. Meanwhile, Thuy Tri Vien was already choking. The wine was too strong. He couldn't hold it in, he puked. Right there in the restaurant. Everyone was stunned, even Tun Fuck Hai and Li Fuang Ha. Mr. Tran said, Fuck Hai, better take Tri Vien home. Kids these days, honestly. But Thuy Tri Vien was still stubborn. No, I'm not drunk, I promised everyone. Tun Chu Man stood up to help him. You've had enough, save it for another day. Yet Thuy Tri Vien, clinging to Tran Bin's shoulder, declared, No, it has to be you today. Tran Bin, ever so agreeable, replied coolly, Fine then, I'll play along.